A mochi moment from Tara, who writes, "For years, all my doctor said was eat less and move more, which never worked. But you know what does? The simple eating tips from my nutritionist at Mochi. And after losing over 30 pounds, I can say you're not just another GLP-1 source. You're a life source." Thanks, Tara. I'm Myra Ahmed, founder of Mochi Health. To find your Mochi moment, visit joinmochi.com.
Tara is a Mochi member compensated for her story.
All right. If you dig the show, you know what to do. Give it a like, give it stars or a rating, wherever it is. I know it's different on different platforms. Some you can only give it stars, some you can type up a review, and make sure you subscribe wherever it is that you listen. All those things boost it up in the algorithm, get it in front of more ears and eyes. Now, I slacked on YouTube for so long, and I just started doing YouTube not long ago. And so I need to boost up the numbers there. So even if you don't listen on YouTube, do me a favor, go over to youtube.com and then look at the Big Truth Podcast and give us a subscription over there, just so we can get those numbers up. If you want to be more involved in the show and in supporting the show, you can go to patreon.com/bigtruth. There's 4 different levels of patronage, and there's also like a free one as well. They all come with their exclusive benefits and privileges and honors and accolades and whatever. But, you get things like early access to episodes. There's giveaways. There's exclusive content there. So check it out, patreon.com/bigtruth. Now, if you need artwork of any type, whether it's a poster from any size, from a postcard to a full, huge poster, and on any kind of paper you want, whether it's just like lower quality paper or museum quality, something you're going to keep for the rest of your life, go to tattooflashcollective.com. Now, obviously, if you need tattoo flash, that's the place you want to go first. But if you want posters, whatever, they got books, all kinds of stuff, anything art related, especially in like our worlds, our little subculture worlds, that's the spot to hit up. Excellent gifts too. So, I know it's early in the season, but we're in November now. Holidays are creeping up. Tattoo Flash Collective. Use the promo code Big Truth, get 10% off your order. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you get even more, a bigger percentage off. So you got to join the Patreon to get that code. If you are into motorcycles at all, then you probably know that I have a motorcycle shop. We've been over 2 decades in the game. Actually, 2026 is going to be the 25th anniversary, so we'll get some special stuff going next year. You can check that out at Chopperhead Custom Cycles, CHOPPAHEAD. Go to chopperhead.com. We're also a full-service brick-and-mortar motorcycle shop located at 13 County Road, East Freetown, Massachusetts. So you come in, we got a parts counter, we got a showroom, we got a swag area, and then in the back, it's a full-service motorcycle shop. So whether you need an oil change or a full custom build, we got you. And if there's stuff you want and you need, we're hooked up with everybody. So if you don't see it on the site, because I don't have a huge, massive, I can't catalog everything and have everything in stock on the website, just give me a call, shoot us an email, and we'll get you sorted. I can drop ship. If you need an exhaust, I could probably have it for you next day. You know what I mean? So just give us a shout and we'll get you hooked up. 508-995-6764, 13 County Road, East Freetown, Mass. And www.chopperhead.com. For more information on the podcast, just go to bigtruthpodcast.com and hit the store button if you want to grab some shop swag. Some podcast swag, getting all the businesses mixed up here. Holidays are around the corner. Get someone a Big Truth Podcast banner for their house or a pillow or, I'm just kidding. But they have all that because it's a merch company. But you can get T-shirts, hoodies, all that stuff, bigtruthpodcast.com, and then hit the store link if you want to get some merch. But yeah, without further ado, we're going to jump into it today. This one's in-house, so I'm probably not going to have video on YouTube for this one, but I do, we'll have audio up on all the platforms. So without further ado, just check it out right now.
Sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Yes, once again, we have liftoff. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode of the Big Truth Podcast. And I got a Besides M4s, I haven't done an in-house one in a while. I think Lenny Lashley was the last one where we did an in-house podcast, but I got my man Bob here, Mendell, who you might know from local hardcore band like Glory, Drained. He's got a metal band On Your Deathbed. You had a whole litany of other bands like Terrorizing and different bands that I you'd have to run through the whole Rolodex of that, because as we all have that have been involved in music for a long time, have a whole litany of bands on our resumes. But yeah, you're an interesting dude that I wanted to have on because, you do that stuff, you do haunts. And, I had Bill on who's also a guy that does haunted house stuff. And you were a paranormal researcher for a while. You were you were doing it right from like a while. Like you were doing it like before it was like a big thing.
Yeah. Well, I'd say kind of.
Yeah.
I actually started doing it back in the Drain days, like without knowing what I was doing really.
Okay.
I found some books in the area. One specifically, it was called New England Ghost Files, and it almost gave exact addresses of areas in like Rehoboth, Taunton area and stuff. So me and some of the dudes from Drained and some of the dudes from like East Side, you remember those guys?
Yeah.
We'd just jump in a van and just drive around the area, and we'd go to local spots and just leave me in this graveyard for a while, come back in like 20 minutes or whatever. You know what I mean? Just trying to see stuff. So it all started with doing things like that and just trying to basically scare each other into like, conceding that, yep, ghosts are real. You know what I mean? It's one of those passions of wanting to see something and never really getting that full payoff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you started off just like going off and hanging out at these spots, but didn't you got into it like more though? Didn't you guys get like, cause you had like a whole paranormal like group, right? Like investigation group.
Yeah.
I remember, what was it? New England?
It was Pilgrim Paranormal Research.
Yeah.
And it was myself and a few guys from at the time I worked for Comcast Cable.
Yeah.
And we just would like, it was literally right when like Ghost Hunters started.
Yeah.
And when Ghost Hunters started and Taps was the thing, and it was still like not a ton of people watched it right away. So it didn't like pick up, but like I was watching it and I was like, hey, these dudes, like they're not just putting on anything to be like, oh, that's a ghost. That's this.
Yeah.
Like I liked the fact that they were real people that were trying to actually not disprove things, but like have an actual reason for why things could be going on instead of it's a ghost and all that. You know what I mean? So I was talking to some of the guys at my work at the time, and they were like, yeah, I like that show too. So we all would talk about it. And then we were just like, I know somebody that's got a house that they say is haunted, which happened to be my brother. You know what I mean? And we were like, let's get some equipment and stuff. So we'd see the things that they were using, like EMF meters, voice recorders, just regular still photos and things like that. So we would just get a bunch of stuff, and all of us would just order stuff online and just start doing our own ghost hunts,
Yeah. So yeah, you just like, you see what you were all, it was kind of like seeing what they were using on the show would inform the stuff you looked into. How else did you get like, did you research like how to do this stuff, or did you just kind of wing it? And because I mean, I know hardcore. You're from a hardcore background.
Yep.
We have a super strong DIY ethic. It's just like, all right, fucking let's do it.
Well, that's pretty much what we did. You know what I mean? So we would watch the show and get ideas from that, and then we actually did some research because the internet was a thing still then, and this was back in 2007, I think was when we started, around that time frame. Yeah, and so we just go on the internet and look in the area if there were like other paranormal groups. And sure enough, there was one on the Cape called Capers, and this guy, Derek Bartlett. And we found out that like on Friday nights, he would do these paranormal seminars at Cape Cod Community College. So we just go there, and like people like Steve Belanger and a bunch of other people would do like, seminars on different things, like that Steve Belanger guy. He wrote a book called Weird Massachusetts. It's a whole bunch of like ghost stories and weird things that's happening in Massachusetts, obviously, hence the title. But so we'd end up talking to them, and we'd talk to the leader of Capers, which is Cape and Islands Research Society, that acronym. And we talked to him, and we were like, we're really into like taps and the paranormal thing that they're doing, and we kind of want to do our own thing. And he was like, well, there's actually a society of ghost hunting groups called American Ghost Society. It was this guy Troy Taylor that kind of like put out this book of like ghost hunting 101 almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we found out that you could actually become an affiliate of that society. So we signed up for that. We got the books and we're part of that. So we're like right out the gate, we were already trying to like get involved with everything. You know what I mean? So because of talking to them and just getting our name out there, we started a website, and then we just started reaching out to places that we had heard, you know, had some phenomena go on. So we like the Millicent Library in Fairhaven.
Yeah.
We did a investigation there. We did the USS Salem in Quincy,
Yep.
which is a pretty cool, like supposedly ghost ship, you know. Just a bunch of different things.
That's where me and Packer had the events. We used to do a chopper and hot rod show there.
Nice. So on the boat.
Yeah, the pre-party would be on the boat. Well, the show used to be at the boat when it was at the old dock, and then they moved to a different dock that was a lot smaller and right next to Boston Robotics or whatever that place is. They don't like anyone being around there, so we could do the pre-party there, but not the whole big show. It wasn't big enough anymore.
It was a cool boat.
Oh, cool, super cool, and it was like good. Like it was crazy how the people that ran it would give us such unprecedented access.
Absolutely.
Because they're like, you're not going to break anything.
Yeah.
It's a fucking battleship or a warship or whatever.
We literally had the run of it.
Yeah, yeah. They was just like, you could go anywhere. It was cool. It was cool, man. But yeah, so I didn't realize I knew there was different groups and everything, but it's cool that there seemed like there was like a good structure and like a lot of potential for networking in that world. Like
it was definitely a good support system. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't a lot. We didn't run into a lot of like gatekeeping when it came to the paranormal community, because in a way it was kind of weird. I don't want to say in the ground up, but it kind of was almost the ground up. You know what I mean? Like
it was the early days of it.
Yeah.
Or in this renaissance of it.
Right. I mean, there's tons of groups now, even to this day. I mean, I even got reached out to not that long ago for a Salem paranormal convention. They're like, hey, you guys want to come out? I'm like, we're not a thing anymore, but thank you. You know what I mean? I'm glad you heard of us, you know?
Yeah.
So it was still pretty cool, you know?
It's cool, man. It always seems like no matter what the scene is, right? Whether it was like paranormal research or like the early days of the resurgence of choppers in the early 2000s, or, you know, like punk and hardcore, you get in the ground level, it seems like that's when it's the most. And I'm not saying it's I don't want to say it's the most authentic, but it's like there's more camaraderie. And then as things grow and get bigger, people that aren't in it for the same reasons kind of just glom into it for whatever they saw it on TV or blah, blah, blah. And then it gets weird, man. Like people get like, that's when all like the bullshit comes in. You know what I mean? Too many people involved in stuff like fucks it up sometimes. You know? It brings cool people in, but it also brings whatever. And you know what I mean? It just brings too many complications sometimes, you know what I mean? And that's when like the elitism and the cattiness and the gatekeeping might stop. Whereas at first everyone's like, oh, let's do this.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I mean, later on, like not that far later on, because we were only a thing for, I don't know, I'd say probably 3 to 4 years. Yeah. And then, but like kind of at that point was when I started noticing like other groups and other shows and stuff that I was like, man, the way those people are doing things, I just don't get it. You know what I mean? Like dudes doing investigations, walking around carrying a beer and stuff. It's like, how professional are you? You know what I mean? Like that's not how you do it. You know?
The one I thought was funny. I don't remember what it is because there's so much of that.
Yeah.
There was like the guy, I think he was like a retired New York City cop, and he would just like go and like try and challenge the ghost to like fight him. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
He was such a meatball. He was like, "Boo, boo, boo." He was like just like coming at him hard, like show yourself. Like he was just like challenging. I was like,
right.
He's like, what are you trying to fight these like spirits, dude? Like, what do you think's gonna happen? You know, like nothing. But so, you know, while we're on this, you know, I figured we were going to get into punk stuff first, but like, wait, let's roll with this.
No, that's cool.
While you were doing, like, you see, you guys had like a few years into it. Yep. I just remember seeing you posting all the time on Facebook back in the day about it, and that stuck out in my head. All that time that you were doing actively researching, did you see anything, or what were some of the more standout events to you? Like,
I wish I could tell you I had that aha moment of that full apparition, but I did not. A couple of times we pretty much just had things we couldn't explain away. You know what I mean? EVPs were very prevalent, like knocks where there should not have been a knock in the house. Things like that. Voices where you should not have heard anyone, like we're in the middle of the night in the middle of the town where no one's at, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what we would always do was we would, when we did our voice recorders, we would always sound off where we were, so we knew where each person was. So when we listened back to all of our audio, we would be like, all right, so that time so-and-so was here. There's no way we would have heard them in this spot. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we would cross-reference all of our stuff so we could explain away any things that we thought were something. You know what I mean? So there were a couple of times that we had some audio stuff that we couldn't explain away.
Yep.
When I was at the grist mill in Plymouth, Massachusetts, I saw something when I moved a certain way in the grist mill, and I don't know what it was. None of our team was anywhere near there, so I couldn't explain that away.
Yeah.
Just things like that. Like one time we were in the Plymouth Cemetery doing an investigation late at night, and something flew overhead, like huge. Like don't know what it was, but it was big, and it wasn't a bird. You know what I mean?
Was it the Thunderbird?
I don't know.
Bridgewater Triangle Thunderbird?
I don't know, because it was in Plymouth, so
yeah.
you know,
it's close enough.
Yeah.
That thing's big. It can cover some ground.
Yeah, I mean it's Plymouth, the oldest cemetery in the country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we were definitely hoping something was going to go on, and something did, but it was, again, we can't explain what it was. We didn't get anything on footage or anything like that. So.
What did it look like? A shadow or something?
Yeah, it was a shadow, and it was definitely winged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like three of us saw it. It went over our heads, over the trees, and it definitely was, I'd say, at least 6 foot wingspan. You know what I mean? That's what we all saw. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when you mentioned EVP, did you get any crazy EVPs?
Yeah, I mean, definitely some voices that we couldn't really make out. Like anytime someone listens to an EVP, they can you can say it says this, it says that.
I'm not gonna lie, that's like one of the most annoying things, because 9 times out of 10 when people are listening to an EVP on like these shows or whatever, and they're like, oh, it said this, and I'm like, did it? Because it don't sound like that to me, man. You know what I mean?
I completely agree.
I know I'm kind of tone deaf from 40 years of hardcore shows and whatnot, but I'm like, you sure about that? Like that dude, you know what I mean? I'm like,
how many times can you hear "get out"? You know what I mean? Get out. It's like, oh, it said "get out." It's like, no, it didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's what you want to hear.
Yeah. So that's why I say, like, I don't know exactly what they were saying, but like
caught something.
We caught something. Was definitely a what sounded like a human voice.
Yeah.
And of course, one team member will be like, oh, it said this. And I'll be like, yeah, I didn't hear that. I think it might have said this. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm not like, oh, yeah. The knocks at my brother's house in New Bedford was pretty prevalent in it. We didn't know what it could be. Actually, also at his house, we had a camera full on move 90 degrees. And we know it moved. No one was nearby to like hit a cord or anything to make it move, but you see the IR actually move from another camera from another angle, so it's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, we did some cool investigations. Some stuff was just like a whole night of doing nothing and finding nothing, but that's part of the gig. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So after all this, do you where are you at in your belief with this stuff? Like, do you think there's something out there, or are you still like healthily skeptic?
I am. I'd say healthily skeptic like that, but in a positive way, like where I'm still very optimistic of the fact that I do believe that there are things going on, because in my opinion, you'd be kind of foolish to think that the energy in your body just goes away. You know what I mean? Like there's so much going on for you to not continue on in some form. You know what I mean? What that form is, I don't know. And I don't know none of us have those answers. So I would love to find those things out. So I am very optimistic that there is something, but I'm very skeptical of what it is. Like I'm very skeptical about mediums and psychics and things like that because I believe in it. I very much do. And I believe that some people do have that power, but I'm very skeptical and I'm very on guard,
Yeah. Well,
So,
and you gotta be, but yeah. And I feel the same way. It's like, I know there's something out there. I just don't know exactly what it is.
Right.
And and it's like, I don't know if anyone really does. I mean, I know it's weird because you also, sometimes you have to trust people on face value. Like people have had experiences and it's like, all right, cool. Like,
yeah.
If what you're saying, I have a lot of like weird episodes on this and people are like, do you believe that person? I'm like, I don't believe or disbelieve. Like,
Right.
I'm like, I have someone on because they have an interesting story.
Yep.
And it's like, my take is, I think we talked about this when we were at the flea market the other day. It was like, if any of it's true, the world's a way more interesting place
Yeah, no,
for it. You
you're
know what I
absolutely
mean? And
right,
I
yeah.
hope it is, but I don't, I don't know. Right. Yeah. But that's why I don't interrupt people a lot. Like when I have like people on that might, like I've had some really wow. You ever hear about like Mars 20 and back missions and things like that? I've had guys talking about that stuff like that. Felt like they were abducted by a satanic cult sent to like Mars to work for the aliens and this and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, the guy seems pretty normal. Like when you look at his regular Instagram and, pretty like we talked about motorcycles. We talked about all kinds of stuff like, and then he gets into his story and it's a wild one. And it's like, I don't know. Like I hope, like half of me hopes it's not true because this dude went through some shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but half of me
It's
is
like fire in the sky shit.
Yeah. If any of it is true, like, goddamn, the world is wild. You know what I mean? Like, and way more wild than we even know. And it would explain a lot of like why a lot of things are the way they are, like and hidden from us because it's got to be, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually think that fire in the sky, that Travis Walton case is probably one of the more believable.
Yeah. I actually met Travis Walton in Amityville, New York.
Okay.
At a convention. Super nice dude.
Yeah, yeah.
It was weird to meet him because that movie's incredible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I totally think that could be a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I as far as the paranormal stuff goes, aliens were one thing I never saw, and I never really got to. I'm very interested in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And it's like things like, obviously all we really have is movies and stuff to really to go to for the most part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's a lot of but like I don't. And what I guess let me preface it like this. I don't doubt something happened to him.
Yeah.
That he was abducted and taken somewhere.
Yep.
Where that is, I don't know.
Right.
Was it extraterrestrials from another planet that brought him out on a spaceship? I don't know. Or was it something more interdimensional or something darker?
Yep.
Who knows, right? I got a guy coming on named Nathaniel Gillis. I think we're recording next week. He has like a whole theory like that this whole phenomenon is like really one thing. And it presents itself. It's an intelligence that's been here.
Yeah.
On Earth for a long time, and that it presents itself as different things. It can present itself as an alien, it can present itself as a demon or like a ghost or spirit or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like it presents itself to different people differently for, strategic reasons.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's because it's messing around. It's not a benevolent intelligence. It's a little more nefarious.
So does he also think that maybe that same entity or thing is what people see when they think they see like gods?
Well, that's what we'll find out. We'll get into that. And
All right.
So and that's
I'm intrigued.
That's a precursor for everybody. Listen to this when you're done with this one. Just wait a couple weeks, and the next one will be out, and he will answer all that. If you got questions you want to ask Nathaniel, hit me up ahead of time. You shoot me a DM. But yeah, no, like, and I want him. Like, I don't want to put words in his mouth. Because there's stuff I want to ask him.
Right.
Because I've heard him on other shows, and he goes hard with it. He comes from a real academic perspective, and he goes hard in the field with this stuff. He's not. And he's got a lot of photographic and video evidence of like weird goings-ons, like people like sigils coming through people's skin, but it's like not on top of the skin; it's coming from underneath, pushing up.
That's
and
crazy,
weird stuff. Like you know what I mean. So I'm stoked like to have him because that one will be on video, so we'll probably have a little bit more of a presentation with that. But what got you? what I know, so it sounds like you had, you've had some experiences of where you couldn't explain things away. Yep. What it is still up for whatever. One thing about like going out, it seems like going out on these, going out on these investigations, you ever go into like someone's house and they're just totally tapped?
Oh yeah.
What are some of the funny things? I mean, obviously don't name names and do anything incriminating, but like what's some of the like the weirdest or like funniest or like most like we gotta get the fuck out of here type situations that you might have had doing that? Because I'm sure you get some people that are genuinely concerned and some like good people, but I'm sure you also get some fucking nuts.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely, for the most part, we normally would do investigations and the people wouldn't stick around. You know what I mean? Sometimes they would, because sometimes they wanted to be involved. But most of the time they kind of just stick to one area and just kind of like stay there, but we definitely had our share of people that were like, all right, yeah. So are these stories legit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was what we were there to do. We were there to try to help them figure out if they were crazy or if there's might be something going on. And 9 times out of 10, we would find things that would be potentially maybe harmful for them, like high EMF fields. Like one house we investigated on the Cape, they literally had power lines right in the back of their house, and we went out with the meters and it was like registering so high. I was like, this could definitely mess with someone's psyche. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
When you have that constantly, it's not good, and then we also did that investigation in New Bedford. We did one at one of the investigations that Taps did on one of their first seasons was, I think it was called the Toxic House. We went and investigated that house as well because the guy wasn't happy with their results, and we pretty much came up with the same results. You know what I mean? Like the guy used to make candles in a workshop similar to this, and he just like the fumes from that alone were enough to, cause someone to have some issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like things like that. Plus, he all had open panels, like electrical panels. It's like you have EMFs here. You got toxic fumes coming out of here. No wonder they called it the Toxic House. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it almost like he wasn't happy that we came to the same conclusion, but I hate to say it, like it was what it was.
And at that point, hey, it's better that we're finding this than the environmental
no, absolutely.
Situation
yeah. I mean, he had cleaned some of it up, but it was still there.
Yeah. Anything? You ever get into any real precarious or sketchy situations doing the?
No, knock on wood, no. Because not to mention, we also were rolling like at least 4 to 6 people in our group.
And I'm sure you kind of did some pre-screening.
Absolutely. Most of the people that we dealt with were people that we either knew from someone else or found us or it was like a public location, you know what I mean? That we weren't really that worried, but most of it was people that from friends of friends, or like we did actually have like a psychic that would sometimes go on some investigations with us. And she would actually get some people that would talk to her and say, hey, I would really like someone to come and take a look. And so we'd do like joint investigations with them, you know what I mean? Cool. So
cool, man. What happened with it? Like what made you get out of it?
It wasn't really that I wanted to get out of it per se, but music kind of was taking off more because when I started that was in a lull of when I was really doing much with music.
Yeah.
So I was looking for something else to pass the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was working. I had one child. I had another one on the way, and I was like, I wanted to get out and do some stuff. So, it was fun for something to do, and it was something I was interested in. So, but then when the band I was in at the time, because at that time it was Terror Rising, was kind of taking off and really doing pretty well, and they would be. We got shows here, we got shows there, and then they'd be like, "Oh, we have an investigation here," and I'm like, "Well, I got a show, so I got to go play my show." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys got X amount of people, you don't need me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of sucked because I felt like I was giving something up that I kind of started, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But in the same sense, I knew they could handle it, and I would help them with footage or, listening to audio or whatever after the fact, you know what I mean? So one cool thing was we had a server that we would just dump all of our footage, our videos, our audio, everything, so we could all sift through the stuff at our own time, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I was gonna say you gotta break that stuff up, because if you're someplace and you're recording 6 hours, I was like, how tedious, and like you must just want to kill yourself, like when you're going through like 6 hours of audio, like trying, or is there, I'm sure now there's ways where especially with like AI and stuff, that it can just like,
I'm sure
just show me the things where there's like a little.
Well, that's one thing. Like that's a good point, actually. Like what we would do is we would dump it on like Audacity or something like that, and we'd literally look for any kind of like spike at all, and then we jump to that spot. But for the most part, like with the video stuff, you'd have to literally just sit there and watch it. Because you can't, if you can't do that with a video. You know what I mean? You just got to watch it. So it's just watching this person just sitting in a room talking to a EMF meter, a K2 meter, and just being like, what's going on,
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. That's the thing they don't, and I'm sure the shows probably talk about it, give it some lip service, but that's what you don't see. Like I think, the problem with any quote unquote reality TV is that they're just showing you the highlights and the good stuff.
Oh yeah.
They're not showing the 6 hours of sitting there like ready to fucking eat a bullet. Well, like, yeah, dude, you're like, I don't want to watch another minute of this, but you gotta, because you're driven to do it.
And it's not just the post stuff though. You also got to do the pre stuff. Like you got to do some research about the location, about the area, like things like that. Because if you don't know going into it what you might be going into or what to look for, you know what I mean? Like,
so let me ask you a question about that.
Yep.
Do you think whether, or at least have the potential, like if you do too much research ahead of time, you might, do you know what I'm saying? Like, is it better to go in cold and not know? Or is it better to like, like if you have like too much of a primer, you're like, all right, well, let's look for this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Specific guy. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I totally know what you mean. Cause you're right. Because I hate to say it, but there were some guys on my team once in a while that would be like, oh, I saw this, I saw that. And I'd be like, all right, let's reel it back. What did you actually see? What did you hear? You know what I mean? Like, so once in a while, you're right. You'll have something in your head you're expecting or looking for.
Yeah.
And if you convince yourself that you're going to see this, you might see Elvis if you wanted to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so you got to kind of keep a level head. I like to kind of just know the basics, like, is this an area with limestone? Is this an area that might has some history to it? Things like that.
But bro, we're in New England. There's not one spot that doesn't have history.
No, you're absolutely right. But that's also why it's kind of cool to be able to do this type of stuff around here, because like we were based out of Plymouth area, so it was. I mean, America's freaking hometown. There's all this hella shit that went on. You know what I mean? I know.
It's always funny because like I'm from here, right? I lived in other places in Arizona. They're like, you got an accent. I'm like, no, you got an accent. I'm like, I live like 20 minutes from Plymouth Rock. Like it's like we're OG.
I never thought of that.
I'm like, you guys got the accent. Like this is.
Yep. No, I never actually thought of that, but you're absolutely right. Like we're from the hometown.
Yeah. Yeah, I can ride my bicycle and go see Plymouth Rock.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if I
the fake rock.
Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? The little. And for anybody that's coming out here to go see Plymouth Rock, be prepared to be so underwhelmed.
I feel so bad. One time, funny, quick Bill story. One time, I forget when it was. It might have been during the pandemic or something. Bill likes to ride 10-speed bikes all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And one day he rode from New Bedford to Plymouth Rock, and he's like, posts a picture. He's like, rode to Plymouth Rock. My comment, not the real rock.
Yeah.
And ever since then, he's like, it was all about his accomplishment, and I shit on it just by saying nothing.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to shit on his accomplishment.
No. You were making fun of the
I was making fun of the rock, but it was just funny. So like,
I get it.
Everything we joke back and forth, we're like, not the real, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a running gag.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I can see Bill holding on to that.
Oh yeah.
And Bill was on the podcast. I forgot. I don't know the episode offhand, but go look up Bill with 1L. And he talks about we're just getting out of the season, and we'll talk about that next. But the doing the haunted house stuff. So you went from like investigations to, and now to actually scaring kids. Like,
Yeah. Actually, that came first.
Cat came first.
Yeah, I started doing haunted house stuff when I was in high school, early high school. 1990 is when I first did my first haunt, which was actually at a church. And then after that, I worked at a professional haunt, which was a little bit bigger in Fave and at the Fave and Improvement Association. So me and my brother, we just we throw blood all over ourselves and just run into walls and scare people. You know what I mean?
What was the drive like? What got you into wanting to do that?
I just going to haunted houses when I was a little kid. I always loved them. Like there were certain ones that I loved, like that one I just was telling you. I started working at, and then there was one in Fall River at the PAL Club. Do you remember the PAL Club? Yeah. They had a haunted house there. It was like 2 floors, and it was just you'd sit there, you wait. And they'd have old movies on like Young Frankenstein and Monster Squad and shit like that. Yeah. And you'd sit there and wait, and with the anticipation of going in the haunted house, and then you go in and it was just sheets and Jason and Freddy and looking back, I'm like, that was not the greatest, but it was so fun to me.
Yeah. But as a kid,
to me, a person that doesn't know what haunted houses are now.
Yeah. It's like anything though, like technology advances.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, like you used to skate, right?
Yep.
So,
I was a skater. That's how I got into punk rock and hardcore.
And we'll get into all that. Yep. But I'm saying, like, think about like in the early days of skating, like we were doing like acid drops and bonuses, and like ollies just came out, and that was like the big trick. Everyone like in kick flips and stuff. And then like, the next generation, that's the first stuff they learn, right? And then it's like everything advances. So even that world of like haunts and stuff, like, you go when you're a kid in the 80s or whatever, it's like archaic stuff, but like the stuff that's available now, because Bill was talking about how they have conventions of like haunted like technology and like new technology and new things and all this stuff like this, like what an industry it's turned into. Like,
it's huge, so going to that and then going and doing it myself was just, it was like a dream come true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So me and my brother, we'd always go, my mom would take us to the haunted house, loved it. We'd bring friends, we'd all love it. So then I got to do it. It was just amazing,
Yeah.
So I did that for a few years and then ended up going up to Spooky World. I worked for Spooky World for a couple of years. And then Ghoulie Manor in Taunton, that was at the Taunton Galleria Mall. I worked there for 5 years. And I've been at Feartown now for 8 years.
Yeah.
So
what do you think the psychology is? Like, what drives people to want to go and just get the shit scared out of them?
I know the psychology. It's being put in a dangerous situation that you're safe in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's basically testing your body's fight or flight instincts in a controlled situation. You know what I mean?
Because I think, humans evolved. And we used to have it a lot rougher.
Oh God, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's like a genetic memory. Like, you know what I mean? Like very rarely do you have that in normal life today. I mean, I know some people do, like depends on what you're involved in the world. You know what I mean? Some people
or where you live,
involved in some sketchy shit, right? So you know what I mean? And so you get tested that all the time. But by and large, life is fairly easy compared to what it was 100 years ago, 150 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, right? So, that's what I always wondered, if there's something like that where people need to have that, like, because genetically we adapted to dealing with that. And now we don't have to deal with it as much, but there's all this internal programming in us to deal with it. Yeah. And when you're not, you know what I mean? Like, so we're saying, I think, the same thing. Like, I was wondering, if that was part of the deal.
It's also part of, like, it's at spooky season. They're watching horror movies. They want to be part of something similar to that. Yeah. So it just basically makes them put in a horror movie for, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then they're safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's and then you just got people that are just into that type of a thing. You know what I mean? Like myself, like I go to it because, again, I love horror movies. So I want to see, I want to see blood. I want to see carnage. I want to see craziness. I want people. It's tough for people to scare me now because I've been watching and doing this type of stuff for a long time. So jump scares are what get me. You know?
But like at this point, like you're going through it in a different way. If you like, say you went to Florida or something, you went to a haunt, like, because I'm sure you probably like that. Like if you're traveling, you go someplace. Because that's your industry. But you're looking at it from an eye like, how they doing this, or I know that one, or I know it's coming next. Because you're looking at it from an industry. Yeah, you're looking at the set, but that design's cool. That one, man, they're slacking there. Like,
I'm looking at the sets. I'm looking at the makeup. But I'm also critiquing in my head because I'm an actor manager. So like I'm critiquing timing and things like that. Like, that person should have came out again. You know what I mean? They popped out once and this whole rest of the line didn't get scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. But what keeps you into that? Like, and I think you probably already kind of just addressed it by everything we were talking about. But like, you've been involved in that world for a long time. Like, what keeps you coming back to that? Because I know that right now you can take a breath, but the last few weeks you probably like had zero free time, like running, balancing a lot, you know what I mean? Especially out here in New England, like Halloween's a huge ordeal, a huge thing, Yeah,
it's definitely a busy time of year, pretty much from August all the way until like mid-November.
Yeah, because you got to set up.
Well, I don't set up. I have other guys. Well, no, I don't have other guys. The haunt has other guys. We have 5 or 6 different people that work solely on building, and so they start right away, right. So that our haunt is a setup and take down haunted attraction, and we also own Factory of Terror in Fall River. So Factory of Terror is one of our bases of where we can do some building and stuff like that on the off season. So they'll work on Factory and building that up because that stays there all year long. So they can build the sets and they stay there. But Feartown stuff is done there and at another warehouse. So they build sets, they build props and everything, and then they bring it over to Feartown in like mid-June, mid-July to start assembling it. You know what I mean? So they do that stuff, and then I pretty much start doing the interview process in like July. So we start interviewing in July. Start hiring people. Then we start doing actor trainings and things of that nature to try to get people hyped up for the season and ready to do stuff. Some people have never done this before, you know what I mean? So we'll kind of give them some tools to put in their tool belt of things that they can do and ways that they can kind of create a character in their head. Because for the most part, we give them the idea of what their character is, the spot and the scares, and then it's up to them to kind of fill in those blanks and kind of paint the picture for the customer, so they kind of tell the story of what's going on through that one attraction that they're in. You know what I mean? So we'll do different trainings and orientations and things of that nature to try to get them ready for that.
Yeah. Now, Factory of Terror operates all year?
No.
I was going to say,
we're there all year long.
Because you have the facility, the building. Okay, because I was going to be like, damn, I was like, how often do they get to change things?
No. Well, the last couple of years, they actually had a escape room-esque type thing on the off season that they did called Midnight Games, and they did that from, I want to say, March until like June-ish, and so they would utilize that space for that as well. Just to try to maximize what they can do with the location.
Yeah, because it's a big.
Oh yeah, it's a huge
big location. Yeah. And, having it sit, dormant for a few months, like
yeah. I mean, but. Again, it does also double as a workshop, so they can do things to build up for the season. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's it's a nice thing to have the two locations, because you got the one that's pretty much set and ready to go. They'll change rooms every year. They change 5 to 6 rooms every year, so it's always evolving.
Yeah, you kind of
Feartown is all new every year. You know what I mean? So they'll basically just new themes, new everything. So
yeah. Yeah, man. And you answered a question I was going to ask, like how often are things changing, and it's how much is changing, because you want to keep people coming back.
Absolutely.
You can't do the same thing, because everyone's gonna be like, all right, this guy you're gonna go around the corner, this guy's gonna jump out.
Right. I mean, there's something to be said for classic horror. Like, how many times I go to Disney all the time? I go to Haunted Mansion every single time, multiple times. It's the exact same thing, but it's classic, and I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if it's a classic thing like that, then great. You know what I mean? But other than that, you want to keep people coming, you know, because I mean, Disney's Disney, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Yeah. So, but there's other things that like you need to bring new people in too, even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if someone's, you know, say one year they're like, oh, it wasn't for me this year, but then the next year they may love it way more than they've loved it ever. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's always trying to change it up and keep people guessing.
And plus, people have different psychological triggers that, like, of what freaks them out, or what they're into or not into, or, you know, what is an acceptable scare versus what's like a totally off limit scare, and, you know, things like that. Do you guys do, like with Bill, is it a badge of honor if you get someone to piss their pants?
Yeah.
Is that a real thing?
It is a real thing.
And I trust Bill. I'm not
no.
But I very rarely have I had, you know, you're the second haunted house person, haunter I've had on. So I know someone's going to ask me why I didn't ask that if I didn't ask that.
No, absolutely. When we worked at Spooky World, that's where I first heard of the toxic waste badge. You know what I mean?
Is that what it's called?
It was literally Toxic Avenger, like on a badge.
Okay.
So like if you got a pisser, they and there's a Massachusetts accent right there.
Yeah.
But if you get a pisser, you got a badge. You know what I mean? But we don't actually do that at our haunt. It's not because we don't want to. It's just kind of a chaotic night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We do, obviously, like if someone says, oh, I got someone to piss, we'll applaud them. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it is a badge of honor, but it's more of
the yellow badge of honor.
Yeah. It's more of a metaphorical one.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but we have talked about bringing it back. And I think Bill said that Barrett's has brought it back. So, you know, they actually have a badge. So.
So don't fill up on soda and water before you. Don't drink a big Gatorade before you go to these things, right?
Because we will try to make you
release your bladder. We'll help you
evacuate that.
Get that going. Now, when that does happen, is it kids or is it like a whole array? Is it like adults?
You'd be surprised. Like one time when I was working at Spooky World, my son, who at the time was, I want to say 4 years old, I would bring him with us and he would just dress up in like a ghoul costume. You know what I mean? So like at the time I was the greeter of a vampire house. So I would bring people in and I was dressed like Renfield from Dracula, you know, and nobody knew who I was, but that's what I was thinking in my head, you know? But anyway, my son would be hiding in a corner. And one time a couple of the New England Patriots came in and they were big dudes, you know, they walk in, I'm doing my spiel, telling them, you know, the rules of the haunt. And on cue, my son comes out of the corner and those dudes lost their shit. They were like, oh, hell no, I don't do kids. Oh, it was so funny. Like, you'd be surprised how many like kids, like, because a lot of us haunters have kids, and we'll bring the kids and put them in a scene and whatnot, and you know they have a blast. You know,
I'm sure.
Obviously it's safe. We keep them safe. We don't, but. People get so scared of children in a haunted house.
And I don't think anyone from the Child Labor Board is listening to this episode. Like, they're not employed. They're just hanging out.
Correct.
A good time,
Correct.
Right?
We're just let them have some fun.
Let the kids get involved. Yeah. Because kids love scaring other kids.
Yeah. My daughter's been doing it since she was 4 years old, and she's 17 now, going to be going to college next year.
Crazy,
you know? This was her last season before she goes to college.
I think you were saying that at the thing, It
was a big, it was a big thing because, it's sad. You know, she's her and my son are the reasons why I got back into haunting again, because they were like, yeah, we want to do it some more. I'm like, and my friend Mike that owns Fear Town, he reached out. He was like, hey, you guys want to come work? I was like, yes, we do, because I knew the kids wanted it to. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it started us back up. You know?
Yeah, and it's like like if she comes home for summers, that's not the time anyway. You know what I mean? So it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, there's been talks of her trying to make trips down for like a weekend or something, like flying up or whatever, and doing one.
She going far?
Well, if she gets the school she wants, she's going to North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So she wants to go to UNC Chapel Hill.
Yeah,
so
it's a good school.
Yeah. I hope she gets it. She's got the grades for it. She's got the attitude, and she's got a lot of good things going for her. So
cool. Well, good luck.
Yeah.
And then So, did we talk about everything that we're going to talk about? I'm like, sorry.
No, that's all right.
I know, like, it's like funny because, like, you know, it's like I've known you a long time, but it's also interesting because, like, you know, I don't think we've ever sat down and talked for like 2 hours other than that flea market.
Yeah.
But it's like there's a lot of, like, you hit on a lot of things that we talk about on the show. So I'm just like, what else with Haunted? Anything else that we haven't talked about that's interesting or important? And I don't want to gloss. I want to give it due respect.
No.
You know?
I mean, it's basically like one thing that people don't realize is haunters are a family. You know what I mean? It's just like anything else. You know, I'm sure the chopper world is a bunch of friends and family. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like that type of thing, or punk and hardcore, you know, it's all friends and family, you know? Yeah. So like when you're at a haunt, those people are your friends and literally some of the closest people you have for 2 months at a time. You know what I mean? So like the haunt family is strong, and then the haunt depression when it happened, when it's done is strong too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we do try to keep people in contact with each other. We do try to do some off-season things. Like once in a while we'll go to a haunt together, like the Christmas haunts. Like some of the haunts do Christmas events, so we'll all sometimes go do that, or we'll all go out to like Dave and Buster's with Bill and all the other haunters that are literally going,
have like a haunt night.
What am I doing? You know, you need to see your haunt people, you know?
Yeah, that's cool.
Cause I mean, we all kind of feel like we're the island of misfit toys, just a bunch of people that are like into horror and spooky, crazy shit and don't really fit in, kind of like the hardcore scene where how a lot of people get into punk and hardcore with, you know, you're the outcasts and you find your family, you find what makes you feel good. You know what I mean? So it's very similar like that. So
yeah, absolutely, man. And that's what I like about all these subcultures. It's just like, you know what I mean? They all kind of have, there's so many similarities between all these worlds. Yeah. Like that are like anything that's like outside the mainstream.
Yep.
And I'm sure the mainstream has its all, you know, that's all whatever, you know what I mean? But I've never existed in that. Even when I've tried to live side by side with it, it never, you know what I mean? Yeah. Hence, you know, like I had a pretty lucrative career working in, you know, research and stuff. And it's like, nope, now I'm sitting here in this motorcycle shop struggling. Yeah. It's winter. I'm like, why am I doing this? It's the stupidest business to be in New England.
But you love it, man.
But I love it. Yeah. So I'm here. Between here and the tattoo shop and the bar, it's like very, you know, I'm set in my antisocial ways, and I can't fight it. So you know what I mean. So this is what I'm doomed to do. But that's because I feel like from a young age that stuff was instilled in me with growing up in like skateboarding and punk rock and hardcore and all that stuff, and you know, punk rock progressing into hardcore and, you know, metal and shit like that. And I don't regret it, man. And I feel like that was a great way to live and to grow up, especially in those times. And I'm not taking away from anything like now, but 40 years ago, you know, it was a different deal, man. Like, you know, like it wasn't cool. Like now, like the punk kid in school is just another kid, like, and it's like the cool thing, like a skater is like a cool thing. Like I was like, no, dude, I was getting fist fights like literally on a weekly basis because of this stuff. Like someone was calling you skate fag or, you know, blah, 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 or whatever, you know what I mean? Or punk rock, you looked weird, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and I look at pictures of myself from that age and I'm like, yeah, I would have picked on me too, right? You know what I mean? Like, idiot, you know what I mean? Little shithead, you know, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, but we're all trying to figure it out, man.
We're figuring it out, right? Yeah. And I got a funny picture of me and Ryan, rest in peace, like from when we were like 13 and we were just trying to figure it out. And, you know, I have like a hand-drawn suicidal tendency shirt on. I was trying to grow a devil lock, got like a jean jacket with like, we just threw bleach on it. And, you know, the dumb stuff. Ryan had like a shaved head in the front and mullet, like, but before like a mullet was like ironic, you know, like we were just dumbasses, like trying to get through it, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? So it was fun, you know what I mean? But what was the path like? What because, you know, I'm always interested in hearing what people got on that path, especially back then when it wasn't the cool thing or the easy thing to do, or the available thing. Because it's like, you know, I first heard it, I remember hearing it on UMass Dartmouth, WSMU when it was at the time, and it was like just listening to the radio, and then like Suicidal came on and Black Flag, and I was like, what is this? And like it like instantly resonated. I was like, I don't know what this is, but this is me. This is it. Like, you know, it just clicked like instantly. And but, you know, for you, what was like what got you into punk and stuff? Like, because I know you were in it. I know you're a lifer, but what was the impetus behind it? Like where did, like, you know, how did you delve into this world?
It started young. Music in general just started young. Like I just gravitated towards heavier music. Like, like starting out, my favorite bands were like Motley Crue and Twisted Sister and Quiet Riot and Def Leppard and stuff like that. But then, then I got into high school and I started getting into the skateboard culture and skating and stuff like that. So I started hanging out with other kids that were like, hey, check this out, check this out. I had a cousin that was into stuff because he had older brothers that were into things. And so I would listen to their stuff. And, all my skate friends like Martin Johnson and all those guys, Eric Hodges, a bunch of people from Fairhaven area, they'd be like, oh, check this band out, check this band out. So like the bands that kind of started me on the punk path were like the Misfits, Sex Pistols, stuff like that.
Yeah,
and,
the 101 intro stuff. That's still good.
No, absolutely.
But it's
I didn't get into like the Ramones until a little later, stuff like that. But like the Misfits and then like I said, I've had other friends like my friend Ronnie DaCosta that I was in a church youth group with. He would show me bands and stuff, and we went to school together and he just walked through the halls and like just pushed me and be singing Slapshot lyrics, and I'm like, whoa, what is that? You know what I mean? So like it got to a point where like I just be reaching out. Like luckily I had friends and I had people that were interested in that stuff that could kind of guide me on my path. Like I know we had talked at the convention about like you being the person for other people and then those people being that person for me. You know what I mean?
Did you go to Vogue?
I did, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I was actually in the shop with Shane Mackey. Okay. So that's why me and Shane got close as far as like skating and punk and hardcore and stuff. Yeah. Like, so like Ronnie DaCosta, Shane Mackey, they would be making me mixtapes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Martin Johnson would make me stuff. You know what I mean? Like all those guys. It's funny because like I went to elementary school with like George Rafford and didn't even know that he was into hardcore until later at that point. You know what I mean? So it was like all those people, like we all kind of grew up together. You know what I mean? So like seeing those guys getting into this stuff and passing it down to me, it kind of just went hand in hand, you know what I mean? So then I found my path, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And I think skateboarding, and especially the old skate videos and Thrasher magazine had was such a gateway.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And Pusshead doing Puss Zone and Thrasher, like I remember once he released like the top 100 records and I was like, it was a mission for me to get all those. I don't think I ever did, you know what I mean? But, I was like, oh man, like all that stuff, man. I love it. What I loved about that back then, it was like almost like arcane secret knowledge. Like you had to seek it out. Yeah. Like it just wasn't, you couldn't type, and I love the internet and, and I love, being able to find all the world's knowledge at your fingertips in 32 seconds, right? Yep. You know what I mean? But there was also something about being brought into it, and it was almost like like joining a secret society in a way. It was just like you infiltrate, you got in, you know what I mean, and you had to be there and you had to be involved and you had to like hunt things down and and I think that made you appreciate things more than something that's just out there and easy and given to you. You know what I mean? It makes it more disposable. Whereas I bled for this, man. Like literally, plenty. I got so many fucking scars and whatnot from shows or from getting in fights because of being into all this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I love it. You know what I mean? Like, and it even informs me to this day as a 50-year-old dude. You know what I mean? Like, wild.
It's it was tough for me getting into stuff because my parents were so strict. Yeah. So like I didn't get to go to the shows that everyone else was going to like right away. Yeah. It wasn't until I got my license that I actually was able to start just going. I was like, yep, I'm going to Westport to hang with my friends, and I went to my first show at Babyhead. You know what I mean? Yeah. And
what was your first show?
My first hardcore show was Third Age, Raise, and Into Another. Okay. At Babyhead. It was a matinee, you know, and I was like, this is freaking amazing. You know what I mean? And then I would see Third Age anytime I could see them because those guys were great. You know what I mean? And so that, I saw you guys at the church downtown one time and with Gasface and I forget who else played that show. I don't remember.
I don't either, man.
Yeah.
It's all a blur.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. No,
it's all a blur.
It's funny. Like when I was driving here, I was like, man, I hope I remember shit. Cause like I forget shit like crazy, you know?
Yeah.
But I do remember seeing ITI at the church downtown and with Gas Face and a couple of bands. I want to say Mission played that. I don't remember which iteration of it.
It very well could have. Like, yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I would just try to go to shows from that point on. I just try to go to shows as much as I could, you know, especially bands that I knew, you know what I mean? And I just was open to checking out all kinds of stuff. So I'd start going to like just Babyhead shows all the time. Like, you know, all the bands that were playing then, like the Sick of It Alls, Orange 9mm, Downset, things like that. You know what I mean? Anything I could get to there, Lupos.
Yep.
You know, so and then I found the straight edge culture because of Martin and Shane and all those guys and Ronnie and all those guys. You know, they kind of taught me that, and I really embraced that because I felt seen and connected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I tried stuff when I was younger and it just wasn't for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like, oh, so this is like a thing, like people that don't do this stuff and it's cool for them. You know what I mean? And
absolutely,
so
man.
it just really spoke to what I wanted to do and kind of gave me a little bit more of a confidence boost that I'm not such a weird person that I didn't like doing that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And especially back then it was, it was a stand, you know. Yeah. I was actively straight edge from like 16 to 30.
Yeah. And
then I was after 30. I was like, all right, I just didn't want to fuck my life up. You know what I mean? And I was like, I can handle it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I love it and have such respect for it, even though I'm not anymore. But like, I also took a lot of the lessons to heart, and in like of like the early days of straight edge where it's just like not letting it run your life or ruin your life and things like that, and losing control. And you know what I mean? And so I still respect it, man, and have a lot of friends. And I was going to ask you about straight edge because I saw that you got the X's tattooed on your hands, and how long that's fairly new, right?
Yeah, I actually got them done like a month ago.
Yeah, I was going to say they look like healing. They still are healing. Yeah,
a little there and there. Yeah. I might have to.
Anytime
up.
It's solid black and that thick, you know, it's going to need a touch up. But yeah, man. So you committed.
I waited till 50 to get them actually like on me forever. But it's like why didn't I do this earlier? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's cool. So, like, for you, what is it? What's straight edge like? What? I know, obviously, and for people, and maybe even say, I think most people listening to this show know what straight edge is, but you know, kind of give your tell people what it is and like kind of what it means to you, because I know it's also a very personal thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's drug free, alcohol free, and tobacco free. So it's those three things, and they're things that I saw destroy a lot of people's lives in my life, and it actually affected me. And I know in my genes there's an addictive personality there, and I see it in other ways, but I don't want it to ever, and I never wanted it to be something that like overtook me in that way. You know what I mean? So like it resonated with me big time when I saw people close to me really have issues. You know what I mean? So I just didn't want to deal with that. So I saw it hurt other people and hurt myself, you know what I mean? As far as like the effects of what they were doing, you know what I mean? So, and it's unfortunate because some of these people ruined their lives or lost their life because of this, you know, like relatives of mine that were close, you know? So
sure. Yeah. Yeah. There's no shortage of that, of those sad stories, you know what I mean? Like and it's like growing up, that's why I had such a healthy respect for it too. Like growing up, my grandfather was like World War II vet, saw a lot of stuff, like was shot down twice and POW for a while. So he, you know, had some issues, you know, and he was, that's what he died from was alcoholism and it shut down his organs and stuff and whatnot. But so I always had a healthy fear of that and, you know, respect to try and stay away from that. Yep. And so I get what you're saying there. But yeah, man, I think that was such a punk rock and hardcore. And then that was such like good influences on kids growing up, like in different ways. Cause like punk hardcore just taught you to think for yourself and not just go with the mainstream and not go with the, you know, with what's force fed to you. Like, and, you know, think for yourself and think critically and, be able to stand up against adversity and go against, you know, you know, the norms that because it's not always right. Just because it's the norm doesn't mean it's right. And then, you know, straight edge was like, yo, like have some discipline and you know, be able to handle some stuff. You know what I mean? And I always like, you know, to this day, like, you know, it was funny because, you know, I had Ray on from Youth of Today and everything, and you know, the whole youth crew, I like fell into that. Like that was the time frame that when we were kids, you know what I mean? That was the cool thing.
That was before me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that was right in my shit. Like, but we were also like, cause I went to a lot of Boston shows, like, cause back then it was cool because for people that aren't from the East Coast, Boston and Providence are like 45 minutes apart. Yeah. Nowadays, you pick one. You can't have a show in Boston and Providence, but back then there was a show on Saturday at either Babyhead or Lupo's or the Old Living Room or something, and then there was one the next day in Boston at the Rat or, you know, any host of venues. But it would be the same band, maybe different openers, but couple of the same bands on the bill, and both shows would be packed. Yeah,
I'd usually try to go to both shows. You know what I mean?
But, you know, like I also felt, what I was saying was like, you know, Youth Crew was cool, but I like fell more into like the Slapshot skin, like, you know, straight edge. It was a little militant and a little more masshole-ish, you know what I mean? You know, like I still have the old Slapshot Witness to Hate tour shirt that just said, it was like a goalie on it, and it just said Boston with a men are med and the meat is red. Just total, like, you know, lunkhead, you know, Neanderthal style, you know what I mean? And I love that. And that's why I was like, and I loved Youth of Today and all that too, but that, and like when the first Judge 7-inch came out, I got it in the mail from Schism. Porcel sent that and a bunch of stuff, and I put that on, man, and I was just like blown away, like, you know, and I was like, damn, this shit's hard. It was like the hardest shit, you know, it's so fucking good. And I had Mike on too, and I don't know if I told him that story or not, but I probably didn't want to look like I was fanboying out. But that shit affects you, and it's still to this day, if I hear that song, I get that goosebumps and the little weird feeling down, it goes down into from your throat to your stomach, and like just the tense, just want to start swinging and smashing, and I love it.
I mean, there's a lot of those anthems and things like that kind of kept you going. Yep, this was for me. You know what I mean? And things that made you go like you feel part of it. You know what I mean? And with straight edge too, like I agree it's a positive thing, but it did go through phases of people like, you know, the whole thing with the Earth Crisis and the gang stuff that they were saying was a big thing on the news and things of that nature. And it's like, it definitely took a turn where people were like, it's an actual gang and this and that. And it's like, no, it's not. No,
the worst thing for straight edge was Sassy Magazine reporting on it. And then that brought it out to mainstream. And then like, you know, like, and then news outlets would glom onto it. And I think that was kind of in response to all the stuff that was going on in like in Utah, in Salt Lake City, because they were getting pretty militant, and bombing facilities and doing things like, because then that got on that whole
went to the vegan
Reich stuff,
and I get it. Like I mean, I listen to Ray talk and about how his thoughts of straight edge people that are not vegan and whatnot, and it's, you know, I understand where he's coming from, but I don't agree with it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I was like, the Boston was like, with, you know, Slapshot would glorify going to the steakhouse, you know, Hilltop Steakhouse after a show and stuff, and you know, and but, you know, it was different cultures. And then, you know, Carl is a friend of mine from Earth Crisis. He's been on the show a couple times. And what he was explaining was like, he was just reacting to the stuff that was going on around him, because where they lived, that's where there was all kinds of animal testing facilities. I
didn't know that.
Yeah. And so, I'll send you the episode, like, because you'll dig it, because he gets into a lot of stuff. The
Earth
second
Crisis
one,
is one of my favorite bands.
Yeah. So. The second one, he was talking more about his book that he just put out. Like they put out a kid's book. That there's like a whole crazy world that they've developed, like a whole story that they developed that's going to be a multi-book deal and stuff like that. But like on the first one, he talks about, like, you know, he's like, everyone gave us all this hardline stuff. He's like, nah, man, we were just reacting to what was going on around us locally. You know what I mean? And we were in opposition to it, like, because it wasn't good and it wasn't cool. But I do, I remember those days, man. Like kids did take things far, and it wasn't the bands; it was just people that got into it, or whatever. And it was just, it was wild.
It's like any culture, though. Like some people are going to just take things and go a little too far with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're just going to take a positive thing and make it negative by just being an asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like anything. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's just, to me, it was always a positive thing, and it was always something that like meant a lot to me because it was me. I wasn't straight edge. Straight edge was me. You know what I mean? It's basically how I felt about it. You know what I mean? It's just, I just happened to find a culture that fit exactly how I felt about things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and even if it didn't fit how you felt about everything, the core tenets of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's how it is with a lot of stuff. Like there's so much punk and like hardcore and stuff that I listen to that I don't fully agree with, all the way.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
No,
but it's
you're
like,
absolutely
I can still,
right.
I love the music, or I love like half the words, you know what I mean? Or whatever. But it's like,
I love Shelter. I'm not,
you're not a Hare Krishna.
I'm not Hare Krishna. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like Shelter's one of my favorites too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And it's funny because Cro-Mag's a Hare Krishna. But
absolutely. You would never know it.
That's a whole different type of world view on Hare Krishna versus like if you listen to Age of Quarrel and Shelter's records, they're very different situations.
Very
right?
different. Yeah.
And Cro-Mag's like that record was a defining record for me. Like I'm like, all right, that's Cro-Mag's Age of Quarrel, Blitz, Voice of a Generation, and Corrosion and Conformity, Animosity. Those three things. And Negative Approach 7-inch. Those things were like changed my course of my life forever. You know what I mean? And I still love all those records. And those are all records you could play the whole way through. And but whatever. I get excited when I talk about these things still.
No. That's all.
Guy, you know what
that's
I mean?
all good.
You know what I mean? But
one of my favorites of all time that gets me going all the time is Firestorm, Earth Crisis. You know what I mean? Like, it's just. It hits, it hits me right in that spot. I remember where I was the first time I heard it. I remember the path I'd be taking, driving, listening to it constantly. You know what I mean? It just brings me back. You know what I mean?
Now, because that was, I was already, it's not like I was a little. When I say a little older, I was like still young.
Yeah, right.
But that was like the generation, like the next generation after me.
Yeah.
And I was always I came in when it was still more fast and chaotic, and then some breakdowns and stuff. But like the first show,
you were in the youth crew era. That was like right in your sweet spot, right?
Yeah. And so like that stuff was like, I liked it, but it didn't hit me as hard because it was like more like, like chuggy and a lot of like
it was more metal.
It was more metal, and it took me a while. Like, and I appreciate it now way more than I did back then. But did you go to the Babyhead show where all the chaos ensued?
Yes, I was there.
That show?
I was there. Yeah. Was that the Corinne show? Did the Corinne play that one also? I forget.
They might have,
because I think Corinne was on that one too. But I do remember that, and I remember the whole situation. And yes, I remember it all.
Cool. Yeah, that was a good. That's why I was like, that's a pretty monumental show.
There's a lot. Yeah.
There was a show. So the Earth Crisis was a straight edge band, but also adamant vegan and pretty hardline band, and very pro animal rights and anti vivisection and things like that. And someone threw a dead rat on the stage, and it turned into a wild melee. And
it was insane.
It was an insane show.
But for the most part, people inside didn't really know what was going on. For the most part, Like. Yes, it was thrown on stage, but not a ton of people knew what it was. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, I was in the front and didn't realize until after the fact what was going on. You know what I mean?
Then it got a little wild out back, and whatever. So it's just a funny situation. But not funny, but funny. Funny now. Funny with time.
Interesting situation.
Yeah. I missed that room. Babyhead was such a good room. The rat in Boston was such a, no pun intended.
The only thing I didn't like about the Babyhead was that pole right in the middle of the freaking stage. That thing sucked.
And Corinne, Jesse came on the podcast.
Yeah,
and
Jesse's a good dude, man.
And he's slaying it with Kill Switch Engage, man. Like so stoked for him, man. Because that dude could have had another career in acting. You know what I mean? Like, cause he did that Farrelly Brothers Outside Providence movie, and he chose metal, man. He chose music.
He's just a very talented dude with a positive attitude that I've always been we've been friends for a long time. So my one of my first bands that played Providence area, Sleeping Giant and Container, we played with Corinne back in the day, and I remember me and him just standing side stage at the time, just watching like remember the band Crisis from New York? Yeah, we were watching them and just being like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, you know, he's just a good down to earth dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's real one, and he's still like, you know, loves and respects the music and the scene, and even though he's in like one of the biggest metal bands in the world, he's still like a hardcore kid. So
and he's still genuine and just down to earth.
It didn't go to his head like it would for a lot of people. So I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, me too. Love that kid.
Yeah, man. And we had good scenes, and it was cool. It was cool having a Boston and a Providence scene, and you know, where there was some cross pollination, but there was like kids in Providence, or that, you know, what was always weird is that Newport had its own scene on top of that. And then you go to a show at the Blue Pelican, see Verbal Assault or something, there'd be motherfuckers that they wouldn't even go to a Providence show. I'm like, dude, it's 20 minutes away. Like, I know. They would just not leave. But the same happens in Brockton and Boston. There's kids, if you go to a Brockton show, there's dudes you'll see at a Brockton show that you will not see at a Boston show. And I'm like, it's only 15 minutes away. Like, why? Like, I was driving all over the place to go to shows. You know,
once I could get my license, I was all over the place. I didn't give a shit. I'd drive to Northampton. Like, I was at the first Warped Tour in Northampton when I was young. I was like, I'm going to that. You know what I mean? It was great. You know,
I went to that. I went to the first X Games. I know that's a whole different thing.
I was there when Tony Hawk jumped into the water. I was right there when he did it. You know?
Yeah, that's cool. And then I was at the first. What was that? Lollapalooza.
I didn't go to the first one of those.
I remember, I think it was me and Jay and Jeremy Medeiros. I just remember like freaking out. We were all freaking out about the traffic and all the crazy, like just being at a dead stop.
Well, because that was a Great Woods, right?
Yeah. Just being in dead stop traffic.
That wasn't the one where
everybody on the highway just out of their cars. Like that crazy. You know what I mean?
Actually, the Lollapalooza I went to at Quonset State Airport was the same situation. Yeah. Like, I went to that one. That was like the BC Boys and like, who the hell, Smashing Pumpkins and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was like,
I saw Smashing Pumpkins at Babyhead.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
Me and Ryan used to just go there like every night, like to go do stuff, like, you know, especially when I was around. And we saw Smashing Pumpkins there. I saw Cypress Hill there.
Nice. I seen I saw Marilyn Manson there. Yeah. Which is big, you know. Yeah. When I worked at SMU doing radio for a while, and they used to give tickets away all the time. Yeah. And I'd always just put my name on that list. You know what I mean? So like every show I'd want to go to, I'd just be like, oh, it's a Babyhead, cool. I'm going to that. You know what I mean?
Ding, yeah. It's cool, man. Yeah. There's a lot of between there, the living room, and, you know, in Boston, there's so many acts that, like, 'cause, you know, I didn't even know Smashing Pumpkins. I wasn't into that. And I remember to this day, I had a friend, Pat Burke, we both collected records and we were super hardcore kids. Me and him took the bus to New York when we were 16 or 15 and to go see Sheer Terror and the Nihilistics.
Nice.
But we did the whole, I'm sleeping at Pat's house. We took a bus to New York City to go see the show at CBGB's, and then like slept in the Port Authority that night to wait until the next morning to catch the first bus back, and, you know, whatever. But I remember he started collecting early grunge stuff, and he was like, you should join this thing. Sub Pop has there's a label called Sub Pop, and they have this thing called the Singles Club. He goes, even if you're not into it, these records are going to be worth money. So, and I was like, no, I don't care, dude. I don't like it. You know what I mean?
Some of them are, yeah.
And, you know, he's got all those, I haven't talked to him in years, but like he had all those original Sub Pop singles, like in the rare color editions.
Like Bleach was on Sub Pop, right? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. And like I said, I still don't know much about that whole genre. You know what I mean? But it was like, you know, I just remember like we were laughing at Smashing Pumpkins because of Billy Corben's voice. Like we weren't ready for that. You know, and I was like, who's this dude whining, dude?
Well, I dug Smashing Pumpkins because they were in skate videos. Like I'd see, like,
see, I was out of skating by that point. My skate videos were like Skate Visions and like, you know what I mean, and like, you know, like the early like. But
like Smashing Pumpkins, I'm trying to think what video they were on, but I know, like, especially the first full length Gish. Like they had a couple of songs on one of the skate videos I used to watch all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I don't remember which one it was. Maybe an H Street one or something. You know, Public Domain or something. No, it wasn't Public Domain. I don't know. But anyway, they were on there. You know,
Yeah, I wonder if there's like an archive. There's got to be like online, like a place to go see all those old skate videos again.
You can pull them up on YouTube. A lot of them, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I actually have some of the VHS still, and I got some stuff on DVD. You know,
Yeah.
Like recently, I just got the Powell set on DVD,
Like the Animal Chin and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, I was showing them to my wife, and I was like, "Check this out."
Did you go to yesteryear when the Bones Brigade?
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't go to that. No. I wish. I had friends that were like in the show, you know what I mean? Like this kid Sam Tyler from my town was big skater at the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like him and another kid I went to high school with, they were like in the Standard Times, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I know. It was a good time. It was good. That was all that scene. Like I was like more of like a Alva Dogtown Solak dude, like the punk, like the grimy punk rock.
The early surf skate more,
yeah, just the more grimy dudes, like not with like that wing feathered haircut and stuff. More the punk rock.
So not
dudes.
the Tony Hawk style.
Yeah, just more the wild, like Bill Danforth style, or skull skates and all that stuff. But yeah, man, Jay Adams and all that stuff. You know what I mean? The wild.
Skate, like I said though, skating
Fred Smith
got me into hardcore and punk rock. You know, like even when I would do like in Drained, when I was playing with Drained, I would just go, like we'd roll into a town, like up in Albany or something like that. I'd be like, we'd load in, I'd go skate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like we played a bunch of skate parks. That was awesome because I just bang around in the park for a little while before we set up, and So what made you go from like being a kid that got into hardcore to like actually wanting to make it and go like make music and start a band and stuff like that? I started wanting to be in a band back when I was young and saw Motley Crue for the first time. I was like, I want to be that guy. You know what I mean? I want to be a singer.
Yeah.
So like those people seem larger than life to me, and I always wanted to do that. But then later on, it was just. I didn't know how to go about that. So I did start playing guitar, and so because I couldn't find a band because I was young. So so I ended up getting a guitar. So I played guitar for a while, and then I had like little bands with friends, and we'd be like, all right, you're gonna sing. I'm like, I'm better at guitar. You play guitar. He's like, no, you're a better singer, so you sing. So it was like, so it got to a point where like they had two guitar players, and they were like, you're gonna be the singer. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I sang for like a little tribute band in a basement that never went anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I started.
That's how you cut your teeth.
No, it is, and it got me at least singing in front of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it kind of broke the ice of me not being afraid to sing in front of people.
Yeah.
So then I was hanging out with my friends in Westport that had like a alternative rock band for a while, and I'd pop on stage when their singer wasn't doing stuff, and I'd do a song with them, like Pearl Jam cover or something,
Yeah.
And then I did like a funk metal band, like funk rock metal band, kind of like in the Chili Pepper Rain. And then eventually I got to Providence. I was playing in a metal band, like a metal industrial band called Sleeping Giant, when Mark Lopes left that band. And then so I was singing with them, and then we changed our name to Container. And actually the bass player from that band used to play with Tommy Lee. He was playing with Lita Ford. He toured with Disturbed. He toured with Static X, my friend Marty, and he's now in the band Daughtry. You know that guy from American Idol?
Okay. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
But
well, anyway, he's pretty well known. You know what I mean? So he tours with him now.
That's cool.
So yeah. So then I ended up meeting Roger, and he was like, "Oh, I'm looking for a singer." I hooked up with him because I honestly always wanted to do hardcore once I started getting into hardcore, but I didn't have any friends that wanted to play that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then when the opportunity came to join Drained, I did that, and I was with them for a while.
What year did you?
I joined them in '98.
Okay.
And then we put out a record like immediately. We put out a full length, which was their second full length, I think.
Yeah.
And then so they had two singers on different records before me, and then me on the last record that we put out. So we toured for that record, just up and down the East Coast, and then came back, did some more recording, did another tour down the East Coast, up and back, and then a couple years later, like 4 years later, it kind of, we're just losing members left and right. You know what I mean? And so we're like, you know what? We're just going to scrap that. And we started a band called Closer Than Kin.
Yep.
And we did that. And we put out an EP, went down the East Coast for 2 weeks, came back. We all butted heads on that tour, and I left, and they got another guy, and they went on a little bit more of a run for like one more record. And then the singer for that band was leaving. So Roger's like, I got a slot playing at the Warped Tour in Brockton. You want to play with Drain? I'm like, sure. Yeah. So then we got Drain back together. You know what I mean? So that's how that's been going. And that was, like, I want to say 22 years ago when we got back together.
Yeah. It's wild.
So,
like how much, like I was just having this conversation with someone not too long ago, like, or maybe it was you. I think it was like, we were talking
probably,
about, like, you know, like how like hardcore has 40 something years of history now. Like, you know what I mean? So there's like, it's in classic rock domain, you know, like, you know, in the early days of it, you know what I mean? It's like wild. Like, cause if you think about like, right. So like I started listening to hardcore in 86 or 85. I mean, cause well, actually probably 84 is when I first started listening. The first show I went to was 85.
Yep.
And it was, you know, it'd been around for a few years before that, but all I had to do was catch up on a couple years.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
and
you're
I was
right.
pissed that I missed those years.
Yeah.
But imagine being a kid getting into it now, and you got 40 something years to catch up on. That's why I was like, you know, it's like weird because people are like, well, disconnect. Like these young kids don't respect or go to the older stuff, and I'm like, they can't keep track of everything, so they're gonna be more keeping track of like stuff that their friends are involved in. You know what I mean? Like, and that are kids of their age, you know what I mean? And
that's why when bands that I never got to see come around, I try to go. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like, you know, like when Youth of Today came around recently, like I never got to see them. You know what I mean? I saw Shelter a bunch of times when Shelter was going, but I never got to see Youth of Today. I got to see Better Than 1,000. I didn't get to see Youth of Today. I wanted to see Youth of Today.
Yeah.
You know, so I finally got to go see them recently, and it was amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's not going to have that, you know, that gravitas that it did then, but, you know, it still was amazing to see it. You know, like anytime I see an older band that I know, you know, paved the way for other bands that I love and that I love also, you know what I mean? I try to make an effort to go, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So,
man. One of my all-time favorite shows was at Lupo's. It was Crippled Youth, which was Bold before they were Bold. Youth of Today at Agnostic Front.
Wow.
I thought it was 87.
Yeah.
Or no, that was either 87 or 88. And literally almost died at the show, you know what I mean? Because that's when like pig piling was for real. Like so many kids stage diving at once, it turned into a pig pile. And it was like the first beginning of the song, and like I was just in the wrong place, like was at the bottom of the pig pile, and I was like, I can't breathe. This is how I die. Cool. It's just a cool way to die, right? Like I was like, fuck it. But yeah, no.
It still gets hectic like that with some of the shows. Like I went to Have Heart like a year or two ago when they played at the Roadrunner in Boston, and like literally the whole stage was people and people diving on the people on stage. I'm like, holy shit. You know what I mean?
I love
it was
that.
insanity.
I love the chaos.
It was great, you know?
Yeah, I love that. There's nothing better than that, like old shows. And, you know, because it was dangerous. You had very much potential to get hurt, but no one was doing it malicious.
Nobody's trying to hurt anyone, you know?
So I was like, you know, all this crowd killing, all that stuff. I'm like, you know, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's wild enough if everyone's being wild. You don't.
Well, it's like when
you don't need to like intend to like. I'm like, come crowd, kill me, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, we'll go. You know what I mean?
Like people are on the side of the pit. It's because they want to still be around it. They don't necessarily need, like, if someone comes by, that's fine. Like, but when you're literally swinging just to hit the people on the outside, it's why? Why are you doing that? You know?
Yeah, it's
you know, if you're gonna jump up towards them with your ass or something, like I get that. I do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to intentionally hurt someone. I'm just trying to like bounce off the crowd back into the pit. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode on pit etiquette.
Yeah, right. But if you talk to other people, they'd be like, yeah, crowd killing is great. Let's do it. You know what I mean? It all depends on who it is. You know?
Of course.
So obviously there's people doing it. So
yeah, but yeah, man, I used to love when shows, because like when I first started going, people would go nuts and bananas like during the fast parts.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, and no one does that anymore. Everyone waits for the breakdown.
Yep. Everyone's waiting to 2-step.
And they're waiting. You can't even, it's not even on the first breakdown. You have to wait down to the breakdown of the breakdown. It's like where it goes even more halftime. Like, and then everyone comes out. Like, and I get it. You know what I mean? That stuff's hard too. But like, nothing beats the chaos of like when it's just wild, like fast. And like my first show, and I've said it on this show before, but it was Jerry's Kids and Suicidal Tendencies. But when Suicidal only had the first record out, and it was fucking pandemonium. And it was like funny because you talk about your parents have been strict, so you missed out on stuff. I don't know what the hell was wrong with Ryan's parents and my father. And I love them and I respect them, and thank you so much, Dad, for this. Like, they would bring us to show, like they brought us to the old living room.
The fishbowl.
Yeah, Ryan's parents dumped us off. We were 13. Yeah, it was 13. I don't know if I was. No, I was 13. It was the summer between 8th grade and freshman year of high school. Dropped us off to go see Suicidal and Jerry's Kids. My father came later that night to pick us up. You like right now that people would call child services if you saw a couple of 13-year-olds. It was me, Ryan, and this kid Kevin DuPont. And you know what I mean? It was like they just. You know, and that was always the thing. Like one of them would drop us off and one would pick us up till we got licenses. You know, we're able to get the things, or had friends that were a little older and stuff. But when we didn't know anything, and it's like, I can't imagine doing that now. Like you just dropping your kid off, like not even in high school, 8th grade. You know, it was like
my 17-year-old
show with these people just smashing you.
My 17-year-old goes to shows on her own now, and it's weird. Like I'm like, I don't know. Like I track her on her phone. I'm like, all right, you're in the garage now. I'm like, I call her. You better head home. You know. You know.
Yeah, you gotta be a little strict as a dad, but you also gotta let them spread their wings a little.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that are it's.
What kind of shows? Like punk shows?
No.
Say,
I mean, she likes going to some heavy stuff, but
she'll probably go to your show, right?
Yeah. She'll go to like my shows and stuff, but like she actually likes some metal stuff, you know. But she's not really into like the punk and hardcore stuff. Really, she'll go, but she's not like, you know. Yeah, it's not her thing, you know.
What kind of shows are kids going to? That's
well, she goes to, surprisingly, she goes to like country shows. She goes to like pop shows. You know, like she'll go to like the TD Garden or Roadrunner or something like that to go see like, you know, pop a country shows and stuff. And it's the country stuff. Forget it. Like I just can't get into that. You know, my wife loves it, and I'll go to shows with her, and you know, because she goes to everything I want her to go with me to, you know. And sometimes she loves it. Sometimes she is just going because I want to go. You know what I mean? So, you know, she does like hardcore. She likes punk rock stuff, but not everything, you know.
Yeah, sure.
So, But I'll go to country shows with her because, you know, that's what she likes, you know. You know, so I just try to, you know, smile and you know, make believe.
You know, sometimes though you get surprised, and I'm not saying you have. I'm just saying like sometimes like live music is just like, even if it's something that I don't like, if someone's like a really good musician or something, you always will appreciate it.
Oh no, I absolutely, like sometimes we'll go to shows. Like there's one country artist that she loves, this guy Justin Moore, and I had never heard of him until she introduced me to him, and I don't like the music, but he puts on a good show. You know what I mean? Like they're talented musicians. He's a down to earth dude. Like she ended up winning some meet and greet thing with him the first time we went and saw him. So like I actually got to talk to the dude, and he was very chill, very, very, you know, very country, but very chill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was very impressed. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then seeing them live, they put on a great show. They're very talented musicians, but it's just not for me. You know what I mean? It's just something I can appreciate it. The musicianship, but I just can't get into that style of stuff. You know, I just don't. It don't resonate with me. You know. So.
Absolutely. There's a lot of things that I've been at where I'm like, not my thing, but I can appreciate the show. I can appreciate how they're playing, what they're playing. You know, like. You know, I'm not a huge Rolling Stones fan. I like them. But I brought my father to go see them at Gillette a few years ago.
I wish I got to see them because I don't love them, but I like them.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit, this is fucking great. And I can't believe these dudes are that old. They play like 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just wild. You know what I mean? No, it's fine. And literally, The funny thing is, I've been to a lot of heavy shows, from punk to hardcore to like extreme death metal, whatever. You know what I mean? All kinds of hip hop shows, all kinds of everything. The hardest show I've been at, where the sound was so dialed in and so hard, I'm not kidding, was the Beach Boys at the Zyterion Theater.
No way.
It was Brian Wilson. They were doing the Pet Sounds album.
Nice.
And I don't know, like, this was like pro, right?
Yeah.
Like, when the bass was hitting, it was hitting so hard, it was like my body was vibrating from it. And I was like,
were you close to the stage?
No, it's just, Zyterion.
Yeah,
like, I was like standing up, there's like the little wall.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't even down sitting. And I was just like, why is the hardest show I've ever been to like a fucking Beach Boys show?
Yeah.
Like, Good Vibrations, I was like, this shit fucking hits.
Yeah.
Like, it was like hitting like hard.
It's all in how the mix is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like they had it dialed in.
Yeah.
Like they wanted that thing to resonate through you. And I was just like, and then I heard it all in a different way. Now, if I go back and listen to some of that stuff on that record, I'm like, I can hear it like how it's supposed to be live.
Right.
That they can't capture on the thing. And I'm like, yeah, that song's fucking hard. That song's fucking tough, right?
Yeah. That Beach Boys stuff, especially that record, was phenomenal. You know what I mean? I mean, that stuff inspired the Beatles to do different shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. You know?
And you can't take it away. That's like they're Paul's Boutique, right?
Yeah,
like, like License Still came out, it was fun.
Yeah.
And then Paul's Boutique came out and they changed the game. Like, and that record, Pet Sounds, was a game changer for sure.
Yeah. Check Your Head for me was more of the Beastie Boys peak, you know.
For you,
I know everyone. Paul's. Don't get me wrong. I love Paul's Boutique. It's got some bangers on it.
Yeah.
But Check Your Head was more of the skate soundtrack.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
No,
so
I get it.
So it resonated a little bit more with me. You know.
Yeah. I just for me it was like I was at the Civic Center when they did their first tour. Right?
Oh yeah,
like, I wish I had a long sleeve License to Ill shirt.
Nice.
And it was cool.
Was that with the Run DMC? Was it the Run DMC?
No, it was Murphy's Law.
Oh, Murphy's Law with Beastie Boys?
Yeah.
Really?
So on Beastie Boys' first tour, so it used to be like that album broke while they were on tour.
Oh, all right.
So like, because they were old hardcore, those old hardcore dudes. They brought Murphy's Law with them and they were doing clubs.
I didn't know that.
By the time that tour ended, they were doing arenas because the record was blowing up as they were on tour.
Because I know they ended up touring with Run DMC. When after they blew up, though.
Yeah.
You know,
and that could have been the same thing, but like when I saw it, I just remember seeing Murphy's Law and be like, "This is fucking cool!" Like, And I remember going to school the next day.
Did you not know Murphy's Law at the time?
No, I didn't know him at the time.
Yeah.
But I liked punk and hardcore.
Yeah,
but
right,
I was like, I didn't know Murphy's Law yet.
Yeah.
And then I did after that. And then, but like I remember being in school the next day and all the hip hop kids complaining about Murphy's Law. I was like, nah, that was fucking fucking rad.
Yeah.
And but it was funny, you know what I mean? But like now Jimmy G's like a great friend. And it's funny to hear, like I've gotten to hear all the tour stories about that. Like, and it was like that is that's magic, that time.
Yeah.
And like License Still like has a special place because it was like fun. And I remember, but like when all the production and the craziness of like Paul's Boutique, like no one was doing anything like that in hip hop.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That was a game changer. And I know Check Your Head was another one because then they started playing their instruments again and incorporating that in. And that was a game changer in a whole different way.
Yeah.
And one of my other all-time favorite shows was Beastie Boys, Cypress Hill, House of Pain, and the Hooligans at Rocky Point.
Wow.
The old
I think
park.
I remember that because like I had a bunch of friends that would go to those shows. I never got to go there. You know, like Faith No More played there with Helmet and like on the Angel Dust tour. And Faith No More is my favorite band of all time. You know what I mean? So like the fact that people saw that, I get so jealous. When oh, I saw Faith No More there. I'm like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Same thing with the Real Thing. They came around for the Real Thing tour at the Fishbowl, living room. You know? And I'm like, you motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
No, I didn't see that. So you don't have to. I won't be on your shit list.
All right, good.
My favorite thing about those Rocky Point shows is they started throwing raves there. And they had to
Really?
stop it, because I think they had one or two, and they were finding kids like fucking whatever they were on,
drugged up,
yeah. Like floating in the water.
Oh,
Cause,
no.
because it's like right on the water.
Like
there.
they would die and shit.
No, not
just
dead. Just like
passed out.
Just like fucking high, like floating around in the ocean. Like
oh man,
you know what I mean? It was just funny shit. Like that whole time frame is such like a funny time because it was like the hardest shit going on, and then like rave was big, and like you know, techno was huge, and you know going to Babyhead it was punk rock shows, hardcore metal shows, and then then it would be like stupid dance party or like techno nights and stuff. Or like you know,
that was what was cool about Babyhead was like you had all that different stuff in one roof.
And then Jerky's was upstairs, and you know it was good.
Yeah, I miss Babyhead. I miss that whole Providence scene though. You know what I mean? Like I used to love the old Met because the Met shows were so Met, good. Yeah,
the new Met is good too.
No, it is. It's great. It's great.
The sound is good there.
Yep,
I saw Corrosion of Conformity there, and I almost went deaf from that show. I was like so loud and dialed in and stuff. But.
Yeah, I mean I've seen quite a few at the new Met. I like it a lot. You know, but the old Met just has like that. And I know that's not even the oldest Met. That Met was like all over the fucking place. You know what I mean? Because but
it was cool because it was on a corner with all this glass. So like, people walking by were like, "What the fuck is going on in there?" Like, because like kids are like piling on top of each other and smashing and fucking. Whatever.
I've seen some sick shows there, man. Like I saw Neurosis there. I saw freaking, you know, H2O there a bunch of times. Like so many good shows. You know.
Yeah, that's what's cool, man. It was cool when you had to be at the show to see the show. Like there wasn't, and everyone there was participating in. You know, there might have been a kid or two. I remember there was a kid Ed that used to film a lot of the old Boston shows and some Providence shows, and you know, and there was like people doing that, but it wasn't like 50 people with their phone out.
Right,
You were there. And if you wanted a band shirt or a record, you had to be there to get that, or you had to hunt it down. And it was just like you had to be more involved. You couldn't be at home involved. You know what I mean? You had to and people wanted to do stuff. Like not everyone wanted to be in a band, but like people were doing zines or like printing shirts or like doing you know putting on shows or whatever. It was like
even in our immediate area, people were doing that stuff, and it was great. You know,
and like New Bedford had those New Bedford Fests and all that wild stuff. What do you got going on now for music, man? I know Drained has come out of retirement here and there and popped in and done a few surprise appearances and well, not surprise, you announced them and stuff, but like like you come back from hiatus to hit the stage again.
We brushed the mothballs off a little bit. You know,
I know Roger's super busy with All Sinners, and he's got he's living his 80s metal fantasy life. He's playing at the Whiskey and doing the whole Hollywood thing.
He's got a record coming out this weekend, actually.
We're doing at the Dipper. We're doing an All Sinners specialty pizza
this weekend.
Yeah, with their hot sauce on it. Yeah,
nice.
I was working with it with one of my cooks today. We were trying to because the hot sauce is really clumpy, so we're gonna have to cut it with something smoother to. Just to make it so that it's spread. You know what I mean?
What I like about talking to you about pizza and it's you're very innovative when it comes to that shit, and I love it. You know, but it just shows that you actually give a shit. You know what I mean? And that's awesome. You know, and it shows because your pizza's friggin' awesome. Everyone that I ever say go check out the Dipper Pizza, they're always like, oh man, this is great. You know.
Yeah, well, Packer and I spent the whole year, and he was doing like a lot of that, way more of the heavy lifting research into it. But like the first day, like me and him we were at his house. Yeah. And we were like, we'll figure this out. And we're like, all right, here's how to make the dough. And we didn't know about proofing yet. We're like, how come we can't get this shit to stay? We're like trying to put it in the pan because we bought like the pans that you
So did you buy the oven first and then when I'm going to turn this on you.
All right.
So where did the pizza idea come from? I know you had the bar.
So we had the bar.
Yep.
And that bar has been in my family for 50 years. Yep. Right. Like my uncle bought it. So that's literally the first licensed bar in New Bedford.
Is it really? Wow.
So there was bars before it, but then Prohibition. After Prohibition, that was the first bar to become a licensed bar in New Bedford.
That's cool.
And it was started by this family called the Shah family. And they were a Lebanese family. Mm-hmm. They were bootleggers during the Prohibition times. Yeah. And so it ended. And, it was the kids and the father. They were like, what are we going to do? And he was like, we're going to stay in the business. Yeah. We're just going to open up a bar. And they opened up a bar. And it was the Dipper. And then my uncle bought it.
It was called the Dipper then?
Yep. And then my uncle bought it from them. I 70s or something, late 70s, early 80s. And then my father started working there 40 something years ago when he broke his back. He used to be a teamster and a trucker. But
My dad was a teamster too.
Yeah, and he was delivering sheetrock, and his partner called out one day, and my father's, being a dude, and he's carrying 2 pieces of sheetrock at once, and banged his back up, and so he started working at the bar. And then he bought it from my uncle, and then during COVID, his business partner kind of wanted to bow out.
Yep.
Because COVID was screwing everything up. And so me and Packer bought it.
Yeah.
And then we had it, and there was no kitchen. Well, there was a kitchen. There had been a kitchen prior years, but there hadn't been a kitchen being used in years since it had been renovated and everything. And it was like one of those things where it was like, we should do something. And I was like, nobody's doing bar pizza down here.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing. You know, I'm from here. I'm not from the South Shore.
Yeah.
Like, I learned about South Shore bar pizza from Dan and from Packer and stuff, like people that were super into it. And so we were like, we can do that, right? And so we started researching how to make it and stuff. And one night me and Packer were sitting at his house. We're trying to make it. We're like grating cheese and doing all this shit. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, you know. And then he stayed on like trying to develop the recipe more. He has a friend that's a chef that kind of really walked through it with us and gave us like the secret ingredient for the sauce.
Yep.
And it's like, this is going to set your stuff apart.
Yeah, you were telling me that.
We even make our employees sign non-disclosure
Do you really?
and everything.
That's good though.
Because it's like, it's literally different than everybody else's. And it's like this weird surprise ingredient that, and
off air, I'm gonna throw something at you.
Okay. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but
don't tell me yes or no, but I'm going to tell you what I think.
I can tell you if you're in the right direction.
Okay.
Okay. But anyway, so we got that open, and as an homage, it was just like something different.
Yep.
And then other places started doing it right after us, and there's because we're not doing Greek pizza, we're not doing New Bedford thin crust, like no one's fucking with Parafas.
Right.
Parafas got it.
Paraf is my favorite of the New Bedford pizza places that's not bar pizza.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And so it's like,
and I like Riccardi's a lot.
Yeah, I like Riccardi's, and that's like our style in this area of pizza. But we just wanted to bring the bar pizza because we got a bar,
right?
And it's like, I'm not going to do Parafas style like that. But there's already places doing it that are doing it good. No one was doing bar pizza down here, so. People like Ray's and stuff like, and that's good stuff too. But like we're doing traditional South Shore bar pizza, right? And so that's like literally, and we didn't want to open up like a full kitchen and all that, so we got that oven and we talked to the guy Bobby Owens that like makes the pans. Like if you're doing South Shore bar pizza, you have to have Bobby Owen pans.
Oh, all right.
And he was like, "Hey, you could do this. Get like this oven will be good." And people were mentoring us.
That's good.
What I mean?
That's good.
And so we just did it and ran with it, and and it's worked out.
No, that's awesome.
And now we try and do fun things with it, like even with drinks and stuff. I'll go in, like I was there the other day. I had to open up because my father stayed on, like I know he didn't want to be out of it.
Yeah.
So he comes in every morning and sets up and gets everyone going. And
that's awesome.
And he's like stoked because he's like, it gives me a reason to get out of the house, go do stuff.
So does he get everything going with the food or just the bar stuff?
Just the bar stuff. And then, we have prep cooks come in and people that are on prep, they come in and get that set in the morning. And we got a good team, you know what I mean? And we got good bartenders. We got good kitchen staff. We got a good kitchen manager, and my father's kind of like the bar manager, and and then me and Packer do thing and handle all the, the logistics and the running the business and all that stuff.
Yep.
But like I like going in there. Like at first, me and him were both doing shifts, like making pizzas, bartending, just to learn it because I got to be able to do this stuff if someone calls out.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And whatever. So like, and to know what we're talking about, and to, at first, like, we had to do, like, I've never owned a bar. I've never owned a kitchen. When I was a kid, I worked as a dishwasher in the kitchen. That's my kitchen experience.
Right.
So all of it was learning, and then like dealing with the city and the town, and like all the permitting and
how was all that?
And,
was it okay?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's good.
And so, like I went today to renew the liquor license permit and stuff, and they're used to people being dicks. You go in there looking like how, we don't look.
Yeah.
But if you go in there with like smiling and making jokes, they get stoked.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
being-
Like,
being nice.
You're being cool. Like, you know what I mean? And
Just don't be an asshole.
just don't be an asshole. And you'll be amazing in life. Like how much things are easier if you're just not an asshole.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I can be a real asshole. Like I have no problem and I enjoy it and I relish it. I try not to do it, but like,
Yeah.
but you have to provoke me to be an asshole.
Right.
But it's like, all right.
Yeah.
I find that it's like, I wait. Because from a young age, my father taught me, it's funny as hell. I remember this. It's clear as day. And I don't have a kid and I wish I had a kid to pass this on to sometime. I was getting on the bus for kindergarten. He goes, look, there's going to be all kinds of kids. There's going to be kids you don't know. He goes, there's going to be kids that'll probably mess with you. It is what it is, right? If they mess with you and you do not retaliate, he goes, I want you to stand up for yourself, because you're gonna, if someone puts hands on you, put your hands back.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, when you come home, I'm gonna put hands on you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And so so I've always like laid back in the cut. And I'm like, okay, as long as I don't do it first,
Right,
like
right,
I always
right.
feel justified. And I know that's not right, and so
No.
it saved me that I know people are gonna be like, oh, you're a dick, and I'm like, no, I'm not. But don't be a dick. Like, and just everything's a lot easier. You know what I mean?
With my kids, I would always be like, someone messes with you, tell the teacher. Someone messes with you again, and because the teacher didn't do anything, then you have you have full reign to do whatever you need to do.
70s were a little different.
Yeah,
70s were a little different.
But now,
Yeah. That's 2000s parenting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about the 70s when I was elementary. But yeah, no. So anyway, that's like, did I answer your question about
you
the
did,
bar?
you
Yeah,
did.
right,
So
yeah.
I'll get back to your metal question.
So we bought the bar, then we bought the, we did research, and we worked on it for a whole year before we opened up the kitchen, because we wanted to come out and do it legit.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, because it's funny, because you asked about it. We were like deathly afraid, because are you aware of the Facebook group South Shore Bar Pizza?
Yes, I am. I think I'm in it. Yeah.
There's like 70,000 people on it. It's like bigger than the town of Plymouth, right?
Yeah,
Like, there's more people in that than there is in the town of Plymouth, right?
Right.
And they're all massholes, and they are like cutthroat, like savages, like towny fucking savages. Like you go on there and people will be like, "Oh, the Linwood, that stuff's garbage. It's inedible." And it's like, come on, it's not inedible. Like, you like Cape Cod better, but like people at like they're cutthroat. Like, I was like, we need to get this dialed in before we get on that page.
Yeah.
Like, please, we don't want anyone to know. Like, we did our opening, and day one, people were coming from all over the state because there's such a cult status on South Shore Bar Pizza that people were coming from the South Shore.
Right.
But like, we heard there's a new place, we're trying it, and it was our first night.
Yeah.
And luckily, like anything, we had kinks at first.
Of course.
We knew how to make good pizza.
Yeah.
It was getting the staff trained and being consistent, and like
'Cause you're new,
learning the business. Like, how much dough do we have to make? You know, how many pans do we need to have? Like,
Like, were you running out?
Me and Paco were running to the store 3 times a day to get shit, because we didn't have accounts with like the big distributors yet, and we were just doing what we could. We were running to our Restaurant Depot in Brockton, because the New Bedford one wasn't open yet. Before we had other distributors, and grabbing cans of stewed tomatoes, and all this stuff. You know what I mean? And it was just wild. It was just like, oh, Jesus Christ. And it's funny you look back on it now, but it was so stressful and but chaotic. But when you're first learning something, it's kind of awesome too. Like,
of course.
You're in it. Like, we're getting this going. It's crazy. But the first day, people were already on. It was already on South Shore Bar Pizza. I was like, oh, damn, and it was good. But then, we had consistency issues with, especially with like one specific person who no longer works with us. And we, like, the first 2 days, like within the first week, our first kitchen manager quit. You know what I mean?
That
like,
sucks.
You know what I mean? Like they weren't ready to be a kitchen manager, but they sold themselves. And then when it was time to do kitchen manager stuff, they were like freaking out, like, oh, it's you know what I mean? And it's like, and so anyway, we had, learning stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's fun, and we don't, and now it's more dialed in, and now we can have more fun with it. So like we did like Tim Weisberg, we did the spooky South Coast pizza.
Yeah.
It's doing good. We'll probably keep it on for a while. Like,
that's
we're going to
awesome.
do the one for Roger this weekend. And like, I like doing that. And even with drinks, I was like, oh, I've mixed like this peanut butter tequila in like 99 minutes. I was like, oh, it's a Velvet Elvis. Because Elvis used to eat peanut butter banana sandwiches. Like, I like doing shit like that. You know what I mean? Like,
it's also cool seeing like when you guys have like Jimmy G in the kitchen cooking pizzas and stuff.
Yeah,
But that's cool shit though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's like a nod to where we come from. Like, and that's why
but
it's
that's
like,
awesome. You know what I mean?
Like, it was so funny because when Lars from Rancid was cooking pizzas, and people were freaking out, is he still there? Is he still there? I'm like, no, dude, this was 2 days ago. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna let you savages come down and bother him while he's here. Like, it's my boy. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's cool shit.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But like I was saying, you got to be around because you never know who's gonna be back there. And so we got other people who are gonna be coming. We got other guest chefs coming in soon. So but yeah, and that's the fun part to do. Like, you know what I mean? And that's the, like, whatever. That's just, we ain't making money yet. You know what I mean? So we gotta have fun with it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Just
like,
have fun. You know. And if it isn't fun, why are you going to do it? You know what I mean? As long as you're staying afloat, though. Yeah.
It's pain. It's a restaurant and bar industry. They're like, most of them, they're like, if you're already self-sustaining and growing and sustaining that growth, you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying like I'm shooting low, but it's like we put in the initial investment, and then the initial investment opened the kitchen, and I haven't had to come out of pocket for anything.
That's great.
Yeah. I ain't putting anything in my pocket, but
and you're keeping your dad's business going, which is probably the most important thing for you. You know?
Yeah. And it's like we got screwed for a whole year while they were building the train stuff across the street, and like they kept shutting our block down and whatever. And
is that station helping at all?
No, not really. Like that's going to be a long-term thing, I think. Yeah. Like there's not an influx of people trying to move to New Bedford from Boston,
right?
Or move to New Bedford because they can take the train to Boston. You know what I mean? Like,
not yet, at least.
Not yet, but sooner or later, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, in the summer, there's been some times where people go to like a Red Sox game and they come in and pregame at the bar and then walk over. You know what I mean? But by and large, it hasn't like done much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, it is what it is.
So,
but yeah, so. What were we talking about? Metal?
So my band On Your Deathbed.
On Your Deathbed, yep.
So I started On Your Deathbed with my buddy Creature from Drained, actually.
Yep.
He at the time we weren't doing anything musically because at that we were like in a hiatus with Drained, and he had hit me up. He's like, hey, you want to do some heavy stuff? I'm like, yeah, let's do that. So we got a couple of dudes from some of the other local bands together, and we started the band called On Your Deathbed. So we were playing pretty frequent, playing big shows, like all in the local area. You know what I mean? Like we played Metal Fest a couple of times at the Palladium. We played Rock and Shock a couple of times at the Palladium. We played all kinds of big shows like in the area. Like we used to play Fet Music Hall a lot. We never really got to play Boston, which was kind of weird. You know what I mean? We were mostly like Providence, Worcester area. You know what I mean? So, but we played some huge shows with some huge bands, which is amazing. Like that band from believe it or not, from 2013 to, about a year ago is when we kind of slowed down because our guitar player was quitting. Played with some of the biggest shows we've ever played. You know what I mean? I think the biggest show I ever played was Drain played Loco Bazooka, one of the first Loco Bazookas in Worcester, and that was friggin' thousands of people. You know what I mean? So that was great, and we even had like Slipknot come over and like take notice and loving it. You know what I mean?
Cool. So
it was pretty cool because like Clown from Slipknot ended up talking with me and Roger, and he's like, dude, I love you guys, this and that. He invited us up to friggin' Maine the next night, and we went up and hung out with them on their bus that night. You know what I mean? Nice, It was just cool, because the guy's he's a hardcore guy. You know what I mean? It's cool to see bands like that like still have respect for hardcore. So.
I mean, I think it's very rare for someone that grew up in it the right way, like to turn their back, even though they might be doing something else. You know what I mean?
I mean, even when I'm doing the metal stuff, I'm still a hardcore kid at heart. You know what I mean? So like, I still want to do hardcore and I want to play hardcore, so I will be doing something with that. But for now, like we lost our guitar player, so we called it quits for On Your Deathbed as that band, but we're still going to move forward as a new project. So
so it's gonna be all the members except that one guitarist, and then
I mean it's pretty much the same members with we actually brought back our old drummer, and our drummer moved to guitar, which is pretty amazing. You know what I mean? And it sounds wicked good. Like it's but it's metalcore, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's it's going to be on the same kind of an idea, but just a different project. Like we haven't come up with a name yet because we're coming up with the songs first, then we'll figure out what we're going to call it, you know? So,
well, me and Pete Benavides and Craig and Mario and stuff have that side project. Coming up with a name in 2025 that isn't already taken by some like little freaking weird band in Scandinavia or something like, like everything is taken. Yeah, everything is taken. It took so long to come up with a name. You know what I mean?
And we talked about the fact that like I don't want to make an acronym band because every band is an acronym band. And it's not that I don't. Obviously, I'm wearing acronyms right now. I get it.
Yeah, you're wearing two. Yeah,
I'm wearing two different acronyms as we speak. You know what I mean? So, but I get that's what like people just make it easier, so they just say it's whatever it is. You know?
Yeah.
But like I'm trying to get away from that. You know, just to try to stand out in a way, you know.
So you need a one name, a one word.
But I don't want it to be a word that's just stupid. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Every good word is taken. You're gonna have to get deep. You're gonna have to get into some deep, like you're gonna have to go into like a Latin dictionary. And
my guitar player, the old drummer Dean, he had one word, and I'm like, what does that even mean? Like it sounded cool, you know what I mean? But like I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny, man. And yeah, so it's more on like the metalcore path, you say?
Yeah. I mean, it's been tough for me to like with haunt season just happening and then not long before that, I was actually an extra for a movie, so I did that for a little bit.
Nice.
So that kind of took me away a little bit. So it's just been taking a little bit to get everything going. You know what I mean? Like the music's there. It's just I'm the guy that's kind of holding it up. You know what I mean? So
what's your process for writing lyrics? Do you wait till there's music and then write to that, or do you write ahead of time, or like what's your process like?
I actually do write to the music. Like what my usual thing is, I listen to stuff and I come up with vocal patterns first. I come up with inflections and patterns in my head, and I literally will just sing gibberish at practice, like the same things over and over again, just to kind of get an idea of how I want to do my vocals. And then I will actually set the lyrics after that. I'll write the lyrics to that. I'll come up with my ideas of what I want to write it about, and just structure it with the vocal patterns and inflections that I made. You know what I mean? That's how I find it the easiest.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do, like they'll write lyrics and then try to fit that to that. I just have a hard time doing that. You know what I mean?
With ITI, that's how I did it.
You did it ahead of time?
Or kind of, or like depends, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But now, like with War Machine or this other band, I'm not mentioning it yet because I just want to wait till we have stuff recorded.
Right.
Come out hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I find writing to the music is way better.
Yeah.
And I do kind of the same thing. Like, and that's the thing you got to get over. You got to be good friends with some of these guys to be singing gibberish. Like,
oh God,
all that stuff. Like,
well, half the time they don't know what the hell I'm doing anyway.
Yeah.
Like even with in-ears, because we play with in-ears and stuff, and and they could hear me the whole time, but then I don't think they're even paying attention.
They're working on it. Yeah. But I find that makes it better, and it took me a long time to learn that. When you're a kid and you're 16 and you're writing, you're just mad and you're yelling. But it's like you got to use the vocals as another instrument.
Yeah,
it's another instrument. You know what I mean? You got to do it in that way, even when it's doing like heavy yelling, screaming vocals. Like you got to treat it like an instrument. Yeah, and
you're gonna make it stand out.
Yeah, But I do the same thing as you. I might have ideas for songs, things that I want to write about.
Absolutely,
and then I'll listen. I'll keep listening. Like we'll record something at practice, or like and it's like I keep listening to like then I'll get like. And I'll look through like my notes on my phone. And then if I see something that there's like, sometimes I'll just see the words and it like, it's like a hook and it like fits into something. And then it's almost like sometimes like a download, like it all just comes out like.
I'm not going to say that I've never done it that way. Cause I have like, sometimes I'll just be thinking of things and I'll be like, oh, that's a cool thing for a lyric or something. And I'll put it in my notes in my phone too. And but then other times I just forget it. And I'm like, what the hell was that thing I was thinking about? You know what I mean? Like, so like thing. I always find it a lot easier when I'll literally have like my guitar player, James ridiculously good, like with writing.
Yeah.
He writes and he comes with like full songs, like on a freaking sends
Ready to go.
us MP3s of like full songs, and we're like, holy shit, like it's insane.
Yeah.
And but anyway, and then obviously we can take liberties and whatnot,
Sure.
and the drummer can do different things if he wants to, and guitar player can do his own thing, but it's basic ideas.
Yeah.
So like, it's cool because I can take those and just listen to them while I'm driving around working and stuff, because my day job, I'm driving around all the time, all over New England. So like I can just put that on and just listen to it until it starts connecting. The only problem is sometimes you'll get something in your head of what you're thinking you want to do, and then you try it and you don't like it. And it's hard to like change that.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
So it's hard to go, all right, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
How can I make that better? And then you keep going back to that part that you think sucks.
Yeah.
But then sometimes the guys will be like, dude, I love that part you're doing there and this and that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hate it. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, it all depends, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I'm also very open with telling people, you know, like we're a very collective when it comes to writing and stuff. Like obviously James comes up with the ideas, and most of the time it's pretty much what it is. But then when it comes to like writing together, like I like to be there and actually like give my 2 cents on stuff. Cause I mean, not for nothing, I've been playing music for a long time. So I kind of have an okay ear as to know what I think might work somewhere. So I'll be like, hey, try this.
Yeah.
Try that. You know, I actually had, when On Your Deathbed first started, we had another drummer, and like he hated the fact that I'd be like, hey, try this or try that. He quit. He quit the fucking band because he didn't like that I actually had some input. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't telling him you have to play this. I was like, hey, try this, try that. He didn't like that. You
also,
know?
sometimes they got to understand like certain things are going to work with like what you're hearing in your head for the words. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you know, maybe try, you know, that, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, I find that if I listen to it like you, like I'll listen to it a bunch, and then I can write way easier when it's stuck in my head. At the point where it's stuck in my head, then I can start like, I don't know, subconsciously. You ever wake up and you have a bunch of lyrics, and then you gotta write them down, like you know, like get your phone and you're like squinting and it's 3 a.m.
Especially when I
download and
especially when I have an idea in my head and it you know what I mean, like. So, you know, sometimes I'll just write about like a zombie thing, and I'll be like, it's almost like a movie playing in my head. I know every single part. You know what I mean?
You know where it's going.
Yeah. So it's sometimes it's great how that works. You know?
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because like everyone's like, oh, vocalist is the easiest. You don't got to carry nothing. You're gonna do nothing. It's like, yeah, but we can't practice. Like, what are you going to do? Drive around and yell? You know what I mean? Yell.
That is actually what I do.
I know. I've done it too. Like, especially before a show or something, like you got to get your throat warmed up, especially, you know, we're not crooning, you know what I mean? You gotta get that thing broken in. Yeah. But it's tough, you know what I mean? It's like,
but yeah, no, you're right. It's like the guitar players can sit there and just noodle all friggin' night if they want, you know?
Drummers. If you get the calluses built up, you're ready to roll, right?
Yeah. But yeah, singers, we kind of just gotta, you know, like you said, drive around in our car. It's not like we're just going to be belting. Hey, you know, tell my wife, I'll talk to you later. I'm just going to yell in the other room for a little bit.
Let me go in my soundproof padded room and scream like a lunatic for 45 minutes.
One time when I was trying out for a band, like it was in the interim of between bands, like Shai Halud was looking for a singer, and I was talking to Matt, and he sent me files. He's like, hey, check, put these files in. At the time, I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with these? You know?
Yeah.
So I had GarageBand on my freaking Mac in my house. We didn't even have a computer stand. It was just like on our kitchen table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I took a Rock Band microphone, I plugged it into that, and then I just literally just recorded to that and then sent it to him. And he was like, oh, wow, that sounds pretty good, but could you do any better? So I ended up having to go to studio, but it's just like, but I did that like in my living room. Yeah, you know what I mean?
No,
so,
dude, that was like, I was using a little play mic in the living room of my house. Yeah.
But it's like, it's not realistic. This is basically what it is, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Cool. So so with that band, you guys are just getting it back together?
Yeah, since haunt season's done, I'm
Yeah.
able to stop practicing more.
Yeah, I mean, it was like November 13th.
Yeah.
You just wrapped it up like a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we practiced on Tuesday last week, and we're going to be practicing again this coming Tuesday, this coming week. So it's going well. I mean, like I said, we got about 5 or 6 songs, like music is done. So I just got to put my vocals to it. We actually got a show offer in December, but unfortunately we're not gonna be ready for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. Like when I want stuff to happen, like I'm not getting offers like I want. And then when I got nothing going on, I got an offer from a friend of mine to do like a photo shoot, and I'm not available. And and then like a friend of mine's like, hey, you want to play a show in December? I'm like, I would love to, but we're not ready yet. You know what I mean? So it's but hopefully that'll get people really kind of wanting it more, because we can't do it right yet, you know? So
yeah. Well, because I would be like, we'll give everyone a link or something way to promote it. It's like, you don't got a name yet. We'll keep everyone updated. And when you do have something, let me know too. Even if you want to leak it, we can maybe test it. Let the Patreon subscribers of this. We won't put it out to the general, but we can let the Patreon subscribers get a sneak peek.
I mean, if people want to follow me on social media, just follow me. I'll be posting about what's going on, you know.
Well,
so
if people want to do that, you got to tell them where to go.
You can go to Instagram. I'm xbob13x on Instagram. Just Bob Mendell on Facebook. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
And I'll make sure that's in the show notes so that people, if someone's driving, they don't got to pull over and try and write it down.
And you can follow Drained on Instagram as well.
What's the Drained?
The Drained is, I believe it's Drained Massachusetts Hardcore, MA Hardcore, I think, something like that, with underscores.
I'll put it on there. I'm sure I follow it anyway. Yeah. And I'm sure Roger's listening right now anyway, and he'll be texting me.
He'll be like, Bob, you didn't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
or he'll be like, Bob, you talked about it too much. We're not playing anytime soon.
Yeah. Is it? Well, I was gonna say, I know you guys have popped up here and there. Is there anything on the table for Drained?
No, not at the moment. I mean, we pretty much we played my my 50th birthday party in July, and because I wanted to play that, we ended up playing at Play Arcade. Cool. And that was a fun show.
Shout out to Adam, man.
Adam's awesome. I went to middle school with Adam. We've been friends for a long time. So I'm really stoked on his stuff, and you know, his hot dog shop is awesome. Bomb Dog.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, it's great.
I want to. I'm just not a big hot dog guy.
Yeah. I am a big hot dog guy.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah. I know Roger's. Is that a Drain thing? Is it?
Well, no.
I know Roger's a huge hot dog.
Roger wanted to have a. Did he tell you about his hot dog stand dream and all that?
All the time. So we have like we have group texts, and all it is sending hot dog things to each other, like to like antagonize each other.
Yeah.
And every day he's sending me every week a hot dog card or something for sale.
Yeah, because he wants to do it, man.
I sent him the thing because like the Oscar Mayer Wiener truck is looking for drivers. I'm like, bro, retirement, man. No, John Sadusky sent that actually. And I was like, that's retirement for Roger.
Yeah. Now, is the pizza that you have for him, is it got hot dogs on it?
So we made a Purchase Street Records pizza last year, or earlier this year. It came out on Record Store Day, and it was hot dogs, onions, and spicy brown mustard, drizzle.
Yeah, so it's got to have hot dogs if it's Rogers. He likes his gaggers.
The All Sinners one is not. It's chicken, onions, and garlic with their hot sauce.
Oh yeah.
But we're gonna have to cut the hot sauce with something to make it flow better, because it just comes out too and it's just a mess. Like, it doesn't work. Like we were trying it today, so we're gonna probably cut it with ranch or something, because it'll smooth it out and make it.
Yeah. Other thing people should watch out for is, like I said earlier, I was an extra on a M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Oh yeah,
what's
cool. What's that?
It's called Remain. It's Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
It was filmed in Bristol, Rhode Island, and I got to do a little extra bit on that, so that was kind of cool.
How'd you hook up with that?
A friend of mine works for the extras and whatnot. He's a PA on the set. He does a lot of stuff. Like he's actually right now working on the Walking Dead City series that they're doing.
They're filming that in
Brockton, right? Actually. Yeah. I went and saw him on the set a couple weeks ago. So,
dude, as a haunter, you should get all in and be a zombie on that.
You know, it's funny is I didn't realize it was going on until it was already going on. So then I applied to be an extra in that too. So I did extra work for that Jungle Land movie with Charlie Hunnam in New Bedford a few years ago, like right before COVID, and it came out literally in the theaters during COVID. So no one went. You know what I mean? It didn't even get a Blu-ray release. It just got a DVD. So I'm like, oh man, I got screwed out of that. You know? But hey, I'm in a scene with Charlie Hunnam. You know?
There you go. There you go.
You know?
Yeah, man. And that's the thing. I feel like that's the thing. Like another thing with like hardcore kids is like there's always a everyone hustles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just gotta,
I just try to get myself doing stuff. I get bored easy, so I'm like I gotta do shit. You know what I mean? You know, so I did some local movies too for some friends of mine and stuff. So which is great. You know, there's a movie called Sins of the Devil coming out sometime this year. Actually, they're in post production, so I'm actually in that as one of the characters. So it's pretty cool. You know?
Oh yeah, man. So you got some acting, you got some hardcore, some metal or metalcore. You got haunts. You got all kind of. Hey,
it's like we were talking about earlier. Like I do too much. I should focus on one thing, but
that's how I am, man. I'm all over the place too. I understand. I think that's ADHD or something.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks, man. We're a couple hours in here.
We could probably talk for another couple hours.
Well, we'll save that for the next one. When you get the record ready, you know what I mean? We'll do it again.
Nice.
But yeah, man, straight edge. We hit everything.
Yeah.
All right. But thanks for coming on. Everyone give them a follow. The links will be in the show notes. And until next time, keep it locked. Yes. Thank you all for listening to this episode of the podcast. And you know what to do next. Smash that like button, leave a review, and share the show. And until the next time, which will be very soon, keep it locked.
If you want to feel more connected to humanity and a little less alone, listen to Beautiful Anonymous. Each week, I take a phone call from one random anonymous human being. There's over 400 episodes in our back catalog. You get to feel connected to all these different people all over the world. Recent episodes include one where a lady survived a murder attempt by her own son. But then the week before that, we just talked about Star Trek. It can be anything. It's unpredictable. It's raw. It's real. Get Beautiful Anonymous wherever you listen to podcasts.